Yo, okay. Passport Paulie Live starting right now. Do you guys have any questions for me? It's been way too long since I've had a live. The reason for that is because I just haven't had internet. It's been this like Herculean task to be able to get internet in my apartment, my new apartment in Cordoba. So I can actually do that, man. Let's show this apartment. Let's show let's show where I'm at. Anyway, that makes this horrible. Okay, never mind. We are getting rid of that. All right, yo. So we've had a bunch of people on this live. Someone asked me a freaking question. We're gonna be doing lives again all the time, live all the time. Somebody asked me a question. Let's get this done. Let's figure this out. Argentina or Colombia women wise. Um, Argentina. Like. Here's the thing. What type of women do you like? People always ask me like, what type, like where should I go for women? And it's like, okay, well, like tell me the type of women that you like. I can't give you an answer to that question if I don't know your preferences. You know what I mean? It's like, should I, it's like if you're asking me, should I go to a steakhouse or should I go get Chinese food? It's like, I don't know, like, you know, um, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, like Latin women because you're asking me if you should go between two Latin countries. But like, what type, like, describe the Latin women that you like aesthetically. You know what I mean? Like, do you like short girls? Do you like tall girls? Do you like white girls? Like, what do you mean by Latin women? Latin women means a lot of things. Brazil is the worst place for pay for play. It's one of the worst. Brazil is also very expensive for pay for play, but it's also dangerous. The best place for pay for play is probably Thailand. What's a country that's best to go for the first time? If you're in the Western Hemisphere, a good first time country is Costa Rica. If you don't mind leaving the Western Hemisphere, I think a good first time country is Thailand. Now, a lot of people, myself included, say that you really shouldn't be going to Thailand that much, and I agree. But I'm talking when I say that, I'm talking about experienced travelers. If you're like a first time traveler, then 100% go to Thailand. Do you know what I mean? Like that's who Thailand is now made for, basically. Thailand is now made for like it's your first time. You haven't really left the states. We're still figuring out how to function with this. My mom's calling me. Um, Give me a second. Uh, I'm going to text her. Um, hey, what's up? Is it urgent? On the live right now. Anyway, too easy. Ha ha ha. But what South American country? Well, like again, like give me some information. Best city for a white Italian looking for wife material in Brazil. For that, you're looking to go to the south. I would go to a city like Curitiba or Porto Alegre. Um, uh, what what's up? Um, uh, anyway, I have a few trips to Asia, to Japan, Thailand, Bali, and one trip to Argentina. Nice. Where? No, no. We had another issue come up with it. Basically, they wouldn't accept foreign. September. Any advice? What you should do if you're planning your next trip in September, what you should do is um, instead of going in September, you should go in November, and you should go to our um, our group trip in Cartagena because we are going to be doing a group trip for Colombian Independence Day in Cartagena, and it's going to be the craziest, the best trip experience you're going to have in your entire life. So you should go to that. Um, anyway, um, what do you mean by redskin? Is Florida? No. Uh, P for play location in Thailand. You're looking at either Phuket or you're looking at or Bangkok. Those are the two places. You shouldn't do that in the islands. The islands, the talent is very limited. And maybe ¿qué pasa? Okay. Um. Anyway, what do you think of white women with non-white guys in the United States? I don't really, I don't really care about it. I think a lot of guys get kind of angry about it. Like a lot of guys, I think are like way too like um, way too like obsessed with like questions about like racial purity and stuff. I just think it's just not a really good way to live your life. I think first of all, as somebody who's like as pure white as a driven snow, I think it's just a silly thing to spend your time concerned about. It's just a silly thing to spend your time concerned about other people as well. You know what I mean? If you personally want to, you're like a white person, you want to date a white person in another country, like go for it. That's you. But like, who cares about white women dating non-white guys? I mean, you can obviously pathologize it and like try to like psychoanalyze it all you want, but at the end of the day, that's not gonna be helping you in any sort of capacity. You know what I mean? Um, Race mixing is wrong no matter what. No, race mixing is not wrong no matter what. And I didn't get the call. You're just weird, to be honest. Um, you're just a weirdo. Um, but work gotta. Yeah, I am. My wife is Latina. Um, I don't know. I don't really. I mean, we can get into like the specifics of like that if you want about whether or not it's weird or racist. I just think it's a weird type of racist. I think, but how much would a week trip cost? So if you guys go on, so someone asked earlier, when's their group trip in November? I think it's November 9th to 16th. I can get you the specific dates. But if you're interested in going, what you should do is you should fill out the Cartagena group trip form in the link in my bio, and you'll be able to, go do that. I'm actually going to do this because I'm doing this to promote. So we are going to do a little casual promotion, not a lot, but a little bit of casual promotion for people who are interested. Here is, and I always have to do it, but send backwards. I always have to crop this for some reason because I'm doing like a screen share. But if you're interested in partying on this private yacht in Cartagena, but by the way, like one thing about the whole like race mixing argument, like first of all, like I do think that there is value in like preserving your civilization, preserving who you are, all that type of stuff, right? But, objectively speaking, the more you mix people, the stronger the genes are. Like that is an objective fact, right? There's a reason why the Habsburgs look the way that they did, and there's a reason why, like if you look at dogs, mutts have far less genetic issues than purebred dogs, right? The whole idea of being purebred is not actually that beneficial. You know what I mean? To Are Argentinian women liberal? And why would they even date a mixed race person? So Argentinian women in Buenos Aires are very liberal. Argentinian women in the rest of the country are very conservative. Um, there's this whole thing about Argentinian women being racist. Argentina is not actually that racist of a country. I actually think there are a lot of countries in Latin America, and especially a lot of countries in the world that are far more racist than Latin America. I honestly like I you know I don't want to get on a whole soapbox about this specifically, but I think that what happens, you know, like I think there are a lot of black people in America who get this like velvet carpet strewn out for them wherever they go in America and also in Eastern Europe. And so when they don't get that, they think it's racist, right? There's a famous quote, people, if you're accustomed to privilege, you view equality as oppression. And so you go to Argentina and you're just kind of a person. And like I think a lot of black people view that as racism. I've seen so many of these TikToks. So and this is what really makes me not believe it is I've seen so many of these TikToks of like black travelers complaining about racism around the world, and then I hear about their what are the racist things that they are complaining about, like what are the specific instances that they are upset about, and it's almost always either just like very very normal things that happen or just like complete ridiculous requests that they had. Like for example, I saw this video, and this is kind of what popped it off for me. Was I saw this video where these black travelers were calling Poland racist, right? And I was like, okay, cool. Like I'm Polish, my family's Polish. I spent like cumulatively maybe 3-4 years in Poland, so I know Poland very well. I know that Polish people are not racist. So I was like, okay, let me look at this video. Let me see where some of these complaints that these people have. So some of these like incredibly racist comments and things that the Polish people have done. Well, one of them was that they didn't have any black hair products in Poland. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, Poland's 99.99999% white. Like, it's on you for going to an all white country and being upset that there are no, black hair products. Another one was that, like, his passport photo got flagged because, of his afro. And again, like they use automatic systems for these types of things, right? And so if the system is not used to looking at an afro and then it does, it's like, wow, this is weird. Let me flag this, right? It's a completely reasonable thing, right? Um, Another one that one of the people said was that like it's racist because she felt unsafe going out at night. And it's like, well, you're calling Poland racist because you're actually the one being racist towards Polish people because you think that Poland is unsafe just because there are white people all over the place. When in fact, Poland is actually the safest country, one of the safest countries in Europe, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're Asian, whatever, right? So I now have 22 new messages, so I'm guessing I'm going to be getting this is actually like one of my big problems is that like I say quote unquote based things that make the racists really happy with me. And then they come into my chat and they're like, yeah, Paul, don't you hate race mixing? And I'm like, no, I'm not racist. I just have a reasonable opinion towards race relations. That was just like the normal opinion back in 1997. And then, they get angry at me. So then the progressives are like, wow, Paul is on our side for, being against a eugenicist, and then like they hear me say this shit and they get mad at me. Anyway, when am I getting married? I'm already married. What is it that we have fallen? What's the most racist country that I've been to? That's actually an interesting question. The most racist country that I've been to is probably Japan. By far, I would say Japan is very, very racist. Latin American countries are also racist, but like in a more not really the way that like you think. You know what I mean? Um, which Latin country is the most unfaithful women? I'm not. I mean, Brazil, obviously. As a minority traveler, I found Poland very friendly. Exactly. Anybody who's actually been there and has like a really open mind towards stuff is like, is completely agrees with me. I don't think white people can speak to the black experience. No, like I'm not speaking to the black experience. I'm not telling you what black people experience. However, if black people come to me and tell me the things that they experience, and like I'm 100% able to judge whether or not I believe that those things are racist or not. Like that's 100% a right that I have. I'm not telling you the things that you experience. You're telling me the things that you experience. I'm like, that's not racism. That's just a normal thing. Um, Social status of families in Nideroy. They're pretty well off. Not like rich. They're like comfortably middle class. Like Nideroy is a place where you'll encounter a lot of like accountants. You know what I mean? Nideroy is like an accountant type city. I don't know what Galaxy is, but thanks for somebody for selling that. Um, um, just stay away from the race and politics. I'll talk about whatever I want, man. Like this is the thing. Like so many people. So there are some fans who like have been with me since I started this thing. Who like I'm 100% like if they give me honest feedback, I'll be like okay, I'll like take into account. But like this is a guy, Tio. I don't know who you are. I don't really give a shit about your opinion of me, and I'm not going to change my content based upon what you want. Like, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But if you're unable to listen to my travel content because you don't agree with some of my like racial politics, then like that shows how close-minded you are. Um, my bro knows a lot. Everything's considered racist nowadays, 100%. I mean, to be honest, like Um, ask yourself why the racists are agreeing with you. The funny thing is, I don't know if he's talking about the right wing racists or the left wing racists. Am I still in Bolivia? No, I'm actually in Argentina right now. Um, do you think it stems from a place of rejection from white guys seeing white women with non-white people? I don't know what you're referring to, bro. Like re-ask that question. My country is from Venezuela. Um, Let me see. Argentina has a dark history. It really doesn't, though. Argentina does not have a dark history. And people will come to me and like lecture me about the history of Argentina. And then I'll ask them like very basic questions about the history of Argentina, and they clearly don't know it. And all they know about the dark history of Argentina is some like liberal like agitprop that they saw online, like some Jezebel article about like the dark history of Argentina. So like the dark history of Argentina you're referring to is this, right? Is that Argentina, like all of South America, had a lot of wars in the 1800s. And like all countries, Argentina primarily drafted the poor people in their countries to fight in the wars and die in the wars. In Argentina, those poor people were disproportionately black. And so they drafted and had a lot of the black people fighting and killing each other during that like 100 years of warfare. Because of that, black women didn't really have black men to marry, so they married white men. And then, in starting in 1886, I think was the year, they started a process called the Blanqueamiento, where they specifically encouraged European migration into South America. But that's not a dark history. Like every single country on earth encourages or encouraged European migration into their countries, right? Like dark history implies a lot of stuff. The word dark history is doing a lot of stuff that does not qualify for. Um, are the locals mad about the fires and property rights stuff in Argentina? I haven't really heard them talk about it, to be honest. So I don't really know. Did I watch the Super Bowl? No, I didn't. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. No, it's not dark history though. It really isn't. Like if you consider that if you consider that dark history, like all of history is dark. All of history pre 1945 then was dark because literally every single country in history drafted poor people into their armies. Like wars historically have always been fought by poor people, right? So that's just what happens. Do you go live from a computer? Yeah, I'm actually going live on 3 streams at once right now. We're on TikTok, we're on Twitch, and we're on YouTube at the same time. Am I surprised seeing this study? By the way, Tio, if you wanna talk about this, oh no, you can't for some reason. I don't know why. Um, Anyway, so am I surprised by the study saying that 45% of women aged 22 to 40 are going to be single in 2030? I don't at all. I think that, the way to keep it up with it, honestly, is that my other two chats are not that vibrant. I'm trying to build out the other two channels. That's honestly why I do three at once. But anyway, no, it's been honestly like the project of the left for a long time to keep women single. Weirdly enough, and this goes all the way back. If you ever read Orson, not Orson Welles, George Orwell's 1984. Like 1984 is fundamentally a love story. It's fundamentally a story about how the leftist party in charge tries to destroy families because families are a bulwark against oppression. And they also find that 30-year-old single women are incredibly politically radicalized, right? And the reason for this is simple, is because like if you know women, right? Women are naturally more bossy than men. That's that's just a thing, right? Women are just naturally instinctively are a lot bossier than men, and the reason why is because if you think about women, like their job is to be in charge of like 5 or 6 tiny little children, right? And when you're dealing with like a 4-year-old, you have to be a dictator. In fact, actually, like the name of my Wi-Fi that we just bought today is my wife's name, Dictator, because she's a dictator, right? And that's good when you're a mother, right? The problem is that if you don't end up having children, right, what happens is you still have that energy, you still have that instinctual evolutionary desire to go around telling other people what to do. You just don't have an outlet for it. So you'll inherently find an outlet for it, and politics is that outlet, right? So if you are the left, if you are communist, if you're all these people who need a group of very radicalized, angry, passionate people who love going around telling other people what to do, you have an incentive to make women single, right? And that's why the entire socio-political project of liberals the past 30 years of feminism has been to destroy the family, because they need these women as their political foot soldiers in order to fight their revolution, right? And that's why you have, all these TV shows encouraging women to be single. That's why you have all these podcasts encouraging women to be single. All the whole therapy complex is built around trying to keep women single, right? It's all. I'm not going to say it's intentional. I don't think it's like that much of a coordinated thing. I do think it is a question of aligned incentives. So anyway, the question of like, am I surprised? No, this has been the feminist project for 70 years now, has been to get women single. I think 45% is low, to be honest with you. I think like, if anything, I'm surprised that it's not like 60 or 70%. Am I a gamer? No. When did you learn Spanish? Was it specifically for South America women? That's why I'm learning. Yeah, dude, 100%. And to be honest, that's not something that people should be ashamed of. To be honest, there are some people who I know who are kind of ashamed of like wanting to travel to Latin America for the women. This is like the whole anti-passport bro thing. But I actually think that it's a good thing, right? Fundamentally, like I think learning about Latin culture, I think Latin culture, obviously, like I live here, so I prefer it to American culture. It's a lot more godly, it's a lot more family oriented. And so whatever really brings you in the door in order to do that, I think is good, right? So if you're learning Spanish to pick up women, I learned Spanish to pick up women, and then I picked up a woman and I'm very happy. Um Anyway, let me see. Yeah, you need an e visa. What do you think about Georgia, the country? I actually have a a little sore spot with Georgia, the country. The reason is because my wife and I were actually supposed to get married there, but my wife couldn't get a visa. So because of that, we had like a whole issue with getting married, and that really made me like angry. So I'm upset at Georgia, the country, not the state. The state seems wonderful. Is that easier? I'm trying to find a good place for this mic. Anyway, you learn Czech to pick up Czech women. That that's a very specific language to pick up to learn to pick up women. Like, aren't there like there are only like 100? I mean, 100's low, but like, what's the population of Czechoslovakia? Like 10 million, something like that, 15 million. So, like, how many women are there that are dateable in that population? So, if the population is 20, like, let's say it's 20 million, right? Um, so there are 10 million women. So about like 2.5 million are dateable from that pool. I guess that's a pretty big pool. Paul, you never speak about Eastern European women, the best countries for them, because I don't like Eastern European women, like, fundamentally. So I'm not the person to talk to about that because I'm Eastern European. I'm Polish, and I don't like Polish women. So I specifically decided to not date Polish women. So if I wanted to date Polish women, I very easily could. I just fundamentally do not want to because I don't. There's a lot that I don't like about Polish culture. Let's just leave it at that. Um, what do I think about Latvian women, like, I like, until like it's proven otherwise. I believe that the whole Latvian women thing is a psyop. I think it's a psyop by Indian people. Um, See, like, th- that's the thing. At least with Spanish, you get the entirety of South America apart from Brazil and Spain. I mean, like, so if you have no like ethnic preference, what I think the best language to learn is Spanish, because Spanish gives you the most variety. After that, I would say it's Portuguese, because even though Brazil is one country, it is a very diverse country. I think Brazil is probably the most diverse country on earth. So, like, again, if you don't have a specific type, you know you can find your type in Brazil. From there, like, I think, if you like Asians, you should obviously like learn Chinese or something. Czechoslovakia has not been a country for. Dude, it's so funny when people like nitpick this shit. Like, yes, obviously I meant Chechia, or whatever the fuck the modern name for it is. Like, that's obviously what I meant by it. So the reason why they do that is because in India, like, so there are so many Indian accounts where they, like, just post AI content. You know what I mean? And they keep on posting this AI content, because they get paid off of it. And, you know, they basically, there was an Indian guy like a few months ago that looked up which country has the least amount of women or least amount of men. And then he made a video about it. And then all the other Indian accounts did that. It's specifically designed to be shared on social media. Did you go to Argentina because I want to fast track to citizenship? No, because I went to Argentina honestly because my wife's family was moving here, and that's why we decided to move here. To be honest, I was thinking about moving to Cordoba for a long time, so like I wasn't opposed to it, but that was kind of like you know, the deciding factor. What city has the best beach and outdoor culture like Rio, but not Rio? This You are looking for a city called Vila Velha in Brazil. It is basically, I always describe it as Rio de Janeiro, but without the bullshit. So definitely go to Vila Velha. Medellin is the best. It's not the best, but I'm not going to get into it. It's been a week since I've had like an actual live. I'm not going to get into an argument about Medellin. Why not be a passport bro for Eastern EU countries? Nobody's where it's at. No, no. Uh, First of all, like it's just as easy for you to write white women as it is nobodies. There's no reason for you to be like derogatory towards people. Second of all, like you know, obviously it was a black person who wrote this. What I found is that a lot of black men, so like I'd say about like 100% of Asian passport bros, and about like 50% of black passport bros will basically travel abroad in order to pick up women for status reasons, right? Like, so I'm going to say this specifically for Asian men, right? Asian men view dating a white woman as um, a high status thing. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I have a white woman as a wife, right? And so because of that, they look past a lot of bullshit in order to be able to get that white wife that they can then parade around to their friends, right? Asian men view women very much as like a trophy, and white women are like the best trophy in their mind, right? And I would say about like 40 to 50% of black people have the same opinion, right? And that's really where this whole snow bunny thing comes from, is because they want to be the black guy with the white girlfriend. And like, the Asian guys want to be the the Asian guy with the white girlfriend to show everybody like I got a white girl, right? And by the way, like I've actually talked about this a lot. I one time had like three consultations in a row with South Asian guys, with Indian guys who got divorced from white women. And they all told me like one after another. They were like, "Yeah, I literally only got this girl because I wanted to like, I thought it was cool. I thought I was a big man for getting a white girl." And it's like the thing is that like the thing about white men is that we don't think like that. And so for us, we're around these women and we see how shitty these women are. And we're like, we want Latinas and Asians because they're a lot, a lot of the issues that we have with white women don't apply to those women, right? Um, and so and this is like my fundamental point with some some white men do what? Yeah, I mean, anyway, Paulie, I had to follow you. You're truly a golden gem to the community. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm Arab, but you're 100% right for most people. But for me, I just appeal more to Slavic culture. But like, what about Slavic culture appeals to you? I think I mean personally, I think it's the same for Arabs. Some Muslim Arabs have like a more of like a weird kind of complex going on with like the Muslim and the Christian aspect of it. But that's not something I really want to broach right now because women who are poor, more traditional. Um, yeah, I mean, sure. Anyway, so somebody had a thing. They fall for white girls too. I don't know what you mean by some white men do though. So with the Venezuelans, it's very hard for me to take my wife to other countries in South America. Venezuelans are able to go throughout Europe, so that's easy. Um, and then Southeast Asia, the only countries I couldn't really take my wife to were Taiwan and Japan. And then she had a weird visa issue with Thailand. But besides that, it wasn't that terrible, but it was annoying. They learn Latin women have a small, strong character. Yeah, I mean, sure, that's what. What do you mean neuro? What do you mean they're more unpacking it would require them to accept uncomfortable truths? No, I know the uncomfortable truths. I accept them, and I have a whole spiel about them. I just don't want to go into it right now. I talk about this stuff all the time. People hop into a live and they'll be and they'll be like, "Oh, can you like talk about this topic?" And I'm like, "Man, I talk about this topic all the time. I don't really feel like talking about this topic right now." And they're like, "Oh, you're scared of it." I'm like, "No, I just don't feel like talking about it right now." Um, the visa issue in Thailand is that my wife was only allowed to have a 15-day visa, and we were there for 30 days because I looked up online and it said that they could stay there for 30 days, but then it had changed to 15 days, and so there was an issue. What's another place like Hako? You should go to Cartagena. Go to our group trip in Cartagena if you want a place like Paulie. I've ever been to Villa Bella. My first successful video was about Villa Bella. That was my first actual successful video that popped off was about Villa Bella. So anyway, yeah, that's the thing to unpack, but I don't really feel like unpacking it. Do I do any Medellin brand partnerships? No, I don't think I don't think American guys should be going to Medellin right now. So I stay away from that. Yeah, I avoid Westerners like the plague also when I'm abroad. You know. Okay, I have a weird Twitch comment. Does anyone want to? Yo, what up? Does anyone want to come up on the live? Have some have some questions, have some comments. Feel free to join. We can do like a panel discussion. People always I also prefer the panel discussion to be honest. Marrakesh or pay for play? Yeah, dude. Pay for play is Marrakesh is one of the easiest places for pay for play, and the reason why is because a lot of times, like most women are will not go to a bar without their husband, and they actually won't even go to a bar because um, alcohol is haram in Islam. So if you go to a bar and you see a single woman by herself with like a tight dress on, there's like a 99% chance that she's a prostitute. So just like go to a bar, go see a hot girl with a tight dress on, and go talk to her. She's a prostitute. Don't worry about it. Um, what is the group trip? The we have two group trips now that we're promoting. The first one is March 16th to the 22nd, and the second one is Colombian Independence Day. I think it's November 9th to the 16th. How much for pay for play? It's like 30. It's like $30, man. It's very cheap. Um, Yeah, so the reason why Arab guys hook up with white girls and settle with Arab girls, I guess we can just talk about this if nobody has any other questions, is because like they have this superiority complex that comes from Islam. That's the reason why you have those gangs that are occurring um, um, in England. Um, and so they view sleeping with white women as this assertion of the like uh superiority of Islam and Muslim culture upon the rest of the world. Is this really weird complex that you know causes a lot of negativity and honestly uh, is born from the fact that Arab countries are so shitty, right? Countries that are great don't do that type of stuff, and cultures that are great don't do that type of stuff. But anyway, pay for play is crazy when it's easier to meet girls traditionally. Yeah, I mean, so the thing is that like what I always say about it is that contrary to public opinion, I would say that pay for play is actually cheaper than meeting girls IRL, and the you know the time they're gonna have is worse, if that makes sense. Pay for play is cheaper, but is less enjoyable. Meeting girls IRL is a lot more expensive, and but you're gonna have a better time. You might also get robbed, but you're gonna have a better time. And the reason is because, pay for play, most girls are not really that passionate, not really that into it. If you find a girl that you pay for and she's like really into it and she's like a throat goat, then you should definitely like call her whenever you can. Because a lot of girls just kind of sit there. Um, and so when you take a girl out to a dinner, you take her to a nice place, she's more likely to go all out for you. The problem is that like if you're in Marrakesh, right? Marrakesh pay for play is like $30, and like a dinner for two people in Marrakesh is still cheap, but it's like 45, $50. It's like one is cheaper and one is more expensive. And who knows, you might have to go out for two dinners or three dinners or whatever, right? So if you're only somewhere for a specific period of time, like, why not just do pay for play? And the thing is, and I think this is the important thing, is that there are a lot of people who will look down on pay for play and be like, oh, and it's like, here's the thing, like, you are dealing with, an exchange of value for sex. You are still dealing with that with modern dating, no matter what. One is just more explicit about the one is just more explicit than the other. Dating in the United States has turned largely into prostitution. It's just you're paying the owner of a restaurant instead of the woman directly. But that's what you're doing. You know what I mean? And it's so ingrained in American culture that we don't even notice it. I was watching The Office recently, and there's an episode where Pam, this is like season 3 when Jim leaves, and like said she breaks up with Roy, and she's gonna go on a date, and Phyllis is like, you should go get the lobster, and Pam is just like, oh, awesome, and Stanley is like, if you get the lobster, you have to sleep with him, and Pam is just like, ew, Stanley, how can you say that? And then Phyllis turns to her, and she's like, well, yeah, it's true. This was 2005 on network television, just openly admitting that if you go on a date with a guy and you want to be able to eat a $20 lobster, you have to provide an exchange of value, a sexual exchange of value for that, right? That's how ingrained it is in our society. So, people who look down on pay for play, like, I don't really think, like, you're not really doing anything that different, to be honest. It's just, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm not one of these black pillars who's like, there's no difference between marriage and prostitution. I actually believe that there's a huge difference between marriage and prostitution. I just don't think there's a big difference between like sleeping around and prostitution. I think those two are basically the same thing. Anyway, hey man, I'm a Canadian Indian national. Want to move to Brazil is a good option. Can you just stay and can you just stay? Can, can, can you just please just stay in Canada, man? Honestly, honestly, can you just please just fucking stay in Canada, bro? God damn it. Can can we not get away from you people? Seriously. They view white girls as a snack, exactly. Do you learn Spanish to date in Latin America? Um, Not really, but yeah. I mean, if you really want to date, yes. But if you're just trying to like date a little bit, I know a lot of guys who've been dating in Latin America for years and don't speak Spanish. Are believing girls hot? I mean, depends on what you think is hot. By traditional metrics, no. But I don't. You know, you are my goat. Is that for my India thing, or is it just a general statement? Um, Honestly, I have nothing to say about Marrakesh that was not in that YouTube video. In general, oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate that. Um, Best country for Afro Latina mixed baddies. So by traditional metrics. Yo, what up, C? Yo, do you want to do a guest spot on this live? Yo, CB, if you want to come up and do a multi guest, let me know. We'd love to chat. But anyway, best country for Afro Latina mixed baddies. You're probably looking at Brazil and certain areas of Colombia. But do your research beforehand. Let me invite you up. I'm gonna turn off the AC. I have the noisiest AC in the world. Yo, what up, dude?
Yo, how you doing?
Can't complain. I just moved to Argentina.
Yeah, I saw that. That's amazing. How do you like it there?
I haven't
Am I coming through?
What?
Am I coming through? I'm in Mexico City right now.
Yeah, coming through.
Let me turn this dumb music off. Argentina. My Spanish tutor's in Argentina.
Oh, nice.
I meet with him every morning. Oh, you know what? The name of the town escapes me, but it's way in the south, like on the coast.
Oh, nice. Is it like Commodore Rivadavia, something like that?
Say it's something like that. Where are you guys at?
We're in Cordoba.
How'd your wife let you move down there? I thought like Paraguayans, Uruguayans didn't like Argentinians.
Oh no,
they have weird. They have really weird rivalries. You know,
she's
South America.
She's Venezuelan, so she actually hates.
So she didn't give a shit.
She didn't give a shit. Yeah, she actually hates Paraguayans. She likes Argentinians though. She says they're muy chévere, which I think means like happy and like yeah, just
chill.
Yeah. But yeah, we like
that might be true for the men, but for the women, that's a gig of fun. That's a dude. There's no way that's. But yeah.
Dude, they
got that white girl European thing going on, dude.
Yeah, it's a weird mix in some places. You get some of you get some women that are basically just like white girls from Brooklyn, but then you get some women that are like a little bit more Latina with the white skin. It's a little hit.
You're seeing white girls from Brooklyn, like actual gringas, or no?
Oh no,
you're just saying they're light skinned.
I mean like they kind of have like the personality of like white girls from Brooklyn.
Oh yeah. No, that I've heard that. Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah. It's muy lejos de mí. So
how's your Spanish, man?
It's getting better poco a poco. The conversation lessons helped a lot. Dude, the grammar lessons were a giga waste of time.
Oh, really?
Well, not a waste of time because you got to learn it. You got to learn how to conjugate verbs and all that other shit. But past a certain point, you get enough vocabulary that if you don't actually learn how to converse, it's like, dude, it's like, where's the practicality in all this? Do I need to know that Elmar is sometimes Lamar and like all the like minor shit? Like, I'm just trying to be understood, like basic conversation. And I'm not trying to be a fucking Spanish professor.
Yeah. And I think also like if you if you're like if you screw up Elmar or Lamar, like no one really cares. Like no one's gonna like correct you on that type of stuff. I'm in a weird spot where like I'm now conversational, but there's just like basic like fundamental stuff that I don't know because I learned Spanish by talking to my wife. That like I need to like go and like start actually like studying again because I just completely.
Well, if I'm not mistaken though, because when you and I talked back, dude, I think it was maybe a year ago at this point. your Spanish was pretty conversational, and like it was decent. But from what I understand, the Venezuelan girls speak fairly neutral. They're kind of like the Colombianas. Well, they speak fast, but like Guatemalans apparently are the best ones to learn from. There's a lot of like world renowned like immersion schools in Antigua and Guatemala City just for the reason that they speak such neutral accents. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Have you heard the same thing?
the weird thing for me
Or is that maybe a myth?
No, I can definitely see that. I mean, I never heard that specifically, but like, the Venezuelans, the problem for me is that like 99% of the Spanish that I've heard in my life is from my wife. So like, if I hear a slightly different accent, I'm just like, wait, my ears can't register this, you know.
So the Bad Bunny halftime show went in one ear and out the other. For you. The Puerto Ricanos.
Exactly.
Puerto Ricanos, they cut a lot of the words in half, dude. It's really annoying. In fact, my grammar teacher who's here in Mexico City said, don't listen to reggaeton, number one. And number two, don't talk to Puerto Ricans, which was a problem because at the time I was dating a Puerto Rican girl.
Yeah. I heard don't talk to Puerto Ricans too, but it didn't have anything to do with Spanish. It was just a general life advice. No, I'm just joking about that. I'm just joking about that. They're nice fun. People. Yeah, dude, I remember we were talking. I remember, so it was literally my first week of having this channel, and I had 1,000 subscribers, and you invited me on. And I remember I told my wife, this is like one of our big moments with this channel. I was like, man, I kind of made it. A guy with 15,000 followers invited me on his live. We celebrated.
Well,
we celebrated.
Now I'm up to 24, and you're like quadruple me. People care more about your message than they do about me. My shit is boring testosterone stuff. You know, it's super niche, but you're actually putting out the good information because you've traveled everywhere, and it's you know, the guys just want to get out of the U.S., dude. They want to get the fuck out of the U.S., so it makes sense. I'm not surprised at all at how successful you've been.
I appreciate that.
Although I don't know, is she happy about it? I mean, you're probably getting messages and stuff. I mean, she may not. Is she checking your shit yet, or what?
Dude, honestly, most of the messages I get are from dudes. It's dudes who want like me to like plan their vacation for them for free, or they want me to like hang out with them for free. And I'm like,
I see.
I'm like, I don't fucking know you, man. I'm not planning your vacation.
Entiendo. Yeah, no, I understand. You know, it's funny. I was in El Salvador for 3 months. Well, no, first of all, when we talked, I was in Monterrey, and that's in northern Mexico. And then I took a junket where I was 3-4 months in El Salvador, and now I'm starting my Mexico City trips. Mexico City is. Well, let's just say if you want to be productive, there are a lot of distractions here. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been. Last we talked, you hadn't journeyed through Mexico too much. Is that still true?
Yeah, I've only spent like 4 or 5 days in Mexico, something like that. One thing that we want to do, so we have this apartment for like a year, and we want to like have a kid by next year. And I told my wife, I was like, I'm doing a travel TikTok. I need to do some fucking traveling. So like, one thing I really want us to do is after the year lease is done with this apartment, I want to do 3 months through Mexico, 3 months through Japan, and 3 months through China. And then I'll be happy.
Oh, you actually want to go through Asia too?
Yeah, I've done 2 Asia trips before, and I love Asia. But like Japan is just a country, man, that like I only spent 2 weeks there, and I want to spend like 5 years. It's such an amazing place. So, but then I also want to try out China. You know, I heard amazing things about China. Have you been to Asia?
China is amazing. That's the fusion. No, I haven't been to Asia, dude. The thing with me is I'm really restricted because I got to be back in the U.S. every other week for my kids, which I have shared custody of.
Yeah.
Otherwise, dude, I'd be on a beach somewhere in Colombia. I would be one of the Colombia bros that everybody cringes at. You know what I mean?
Dude, one of my good friends, he's actually the person who I'm doing this trip with. He's a Colombia bro who lives on a beach, and like people cringe at it, but he's just like, dude, I'm living the best fucking life on earth. Like I don't care about you guys
That's why I
judging
said,
me.
dude, I'm never going to Colombia because I think if I do, there's a high chance I might never come back. And now I hear what is your, for example, what does your wife think about all the flights resuming to Venezuela now that I guess Trump's given all the oil to, well, he's stealing all, or whatever's happening.
Um, uh, Brandon, we're just talking to you. I'm talking about you, but about Venezuela. My wife hates Maduro with a passion. So there was cheering and celebration in our house when Maduro got arrested. The attitude of Venezuelans towards us, like taking their oil, is they were like, a lot of people in America don't know this, is that like the Russians and the Chinese were stealing their oil for like 20 years before this.
Yeah.
So the Venezuelan attitude is just like, okay,
But I
well,
mean, she's not trying to get you to get on the next flight back to Caracas or anything.
so we actually were kind of planning to do that, like because like that Saturday that Maduro got arrested, no one knew what was going to happen. So we were like, let's go to Venezuela, and we'll make this like a content thing on my channel, like the American in Venezuela. And then after a week, it was just like nothing's going to change. So we decided to just stay in Argentina. So yeah, we're not going to go to Venezuela for a while, but I do want to try it out. Venezuela has better women than Colombia. I'm obligated to say yes.
Colombians, I had to get on here, talking shit about Colombians living on a beach.
No shit talking. It's
No,
dude. The reason I ain't going to Colombia is I think, dude, there's a high chance I would never return. Like my kids would just have to see me through Skype.
I literally just asked my son. Well, I asked my ex-wife. I was like, "Can I FaceTime him tonight?" And my son goes, "Yeah, Dad, of course." He's like 6.
Yeah,
but it was just funny. But yeah, no, I definitely I have a hard time. I gotta go back for like 5 days next week, and I'm dreading every minute of it. Every minute of it. I'm like, I'm gonna go see my son. That's good, but like Florida, I don't even want to be in Florida. Like I don't even want to leave the beach. I don't want to leave my boat. I don't want to leave my apartment. I don't want to leave the women. Like I just want to be here 24/7, 365.
Yeah, that's the reason it's too dangerous for me, dog.
Yeah, it's terrible.
People were selling me San Salvador like it's Colombia Light, and I'm like, dude, I've never been to Colombia, but I doubt this is Colombia Light. This seems like, well, it just doesn't seem like it.
I remember like I heard a stand-up comic talking about like he had a joke. Oh, it was a famous one. Anyway, he was like some insulting word like gay. He was like someone was like, this is like the N-word for us. It's like, do you know how I know this isn't the N-word for you guys? Because I can say one word and I'm not saying the other word. And that's kind of how I feel about all these people who compare things to Cartagena or like Colombia. It's like, do you know how I know that Peru isn't the Colombia of like Central South America? Is that nobody's comparing any other place to Peru. They're only comparing it to Colombia and to Brazil.
That's actually a good way to think about it. Have you ever been to El Salvador, Paulie?
I haven't been. I really want to go. The problem is that my wife, like Venezuelans, can't go anywhere in South America now. So,
well, you know what's funny is if you tell a Mexicana like, "Hey, I want to visit Colombia," she's like, "No, you're not visiting Colombia."
They know.
She's like, "You're never going there."
Don't go to Colombia if you want to, come back. Basically,
yeah. Every Latina knows, dude, you don't ever let your man go to Colombia. That's like dudes in the U.S. letting their girlfriends go to Miami for a girls' weekend.
Exactly.
It's gig all over if you do that.
Me and my wife are gonna come and visit Brandon in Cartagena, and I think she's gonna like kill me like 4 times the first day.
She probably wasn't enthusiastic. What did she say when you said, "Hey, I'm planning a trip to Colombia"?
So here's what I did. So Brendan has his boat, and we're gonna go and look at dolphins and whales. And so I started out by saying, "Hey, babe, you want to go see dolphins and whales?" And she was like, "Yeah, I want to do that." I was like, "Great, we're gonna do that in Colombia." And she was just like, I really want to see dolphins and whales now. so she finally became okay with it.
Okay.
India is the best country for digital nomads. That's I can't tell if these people are like joking or if they're trolling, but India sucks.
They have to be trolling.
They have to be, yeah.
That sounds not true. But if anyone has any questions about Mexico, I could answer. I mean, I have lots of experience here. I love it here.
Yeah, and any Mexican questions?
I think personally, I think Mexicanos are the best women in Latin America. I do. I just think they're a good like long-term fit, I think, because they're still very family oriented. They're not like what was weird comparing El Salvador. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
The funny thing about El Salvador when you compare it to Mexico is you'd think, Mexico is very close to the U.S. So Mexican culture's got to be like heavily Americanized, right? Well, actually, the truth is that El Salvador is way more Americanized than Mexico is. Like the girls are way. Oh my gosh, Paulie, I'm telling you, dude, these are like Salvadoreñas se comporten como las Americanas. They do. They act exactly like American girls. And I don't know if it's because it's just too safe now or what the reason is, but
yeah,
it's a real thing. And so that's why I think Mexico, dude. I think Mexican women are so beautiful, and they're so. Of course, your wife probably hates. Dude, all the funny thing is if you talk to chicks from like Guatemala or Venezuela or stuff, like the Mexican girls like don't like them, and the Latinas from South America. You've heard of that rivalry, like Mexico. The Mexicans, I guess, think they're better than everybody, but I kind of like that. That kind of arrogance I resonate with a little bit.
I mean, I think that like, you know, being proud of your country is a thing that's like so looked down upon nowadays, but it's alive in Latin America. It's nice. It's funny because like I'm Polish, and you get a Polish person drunk and they'll talk to you about how they hate the Lithuanians because of a battle that happened in 1234, and the Hungarians are spineless cowards because of this battle in 1578. They completely
it's all dumb shit from hundreds of years ago, yeah.
And I feel like, you know, there's a version of that in Latin America. You know, my wife will say that, you know, Colombianas are all putas. She also said that Brazilian women are all putas as well. I think that one thing that Mexican women definitely have over the one fatal flaw with Colombian and also Venezuelan women is the cooking is not that great. So if you're a guy who wants your woman to cook really great food for you, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle in order to get that.
Mexico's where that is.
Yeah.
But hey, I had a funny story for the topic right there. The other day I was out with Luisa, and we were at dinner, and we were in El Centro where all the girls are, and it was around the time that Anna, that Venezuelan girl, will be going to work.
Yeah. Hold on, and where are you at? Are you in Medellin? Or
I'm in Cartagena.
Okay.
So we were in El Centro walking around, and I joked that Anna was going to be at work soon, so we had to like hurry up. And she goes, I said that she would want to fight you because like I broke up with her and started dating Luisa.
Yeah.
And Luisa goes, no, she can have you. She goes, I'm not going to get into a fight with a Venezuelan. That would bring down my status. She goes, if you get involved with a Venezuelan, that brings down your status. I was like, oh. And she just turns her head and looks at me like, yeah, I just talk shit about you.
She's Colombian?
Yeah, the girl I'm seeing is Colombian, and the girl that was before her was Venezuelan, and she likes to talk shit about her.
Yeah,
like, as much as you possibly can.
I think
Yeah, that's one of those. Yeah.
for me, I think that like Venezuelans and Colombians really remind me of like New Yorkers and people from Boston. Is that like I mean, as a New Yorker, I hate people from Boston with a passion, but realistically, we're very similar. And like, if you're a New Yorker and you leave New York, you go somewhere else in the world. Like, there's a person from Boston, they will become your best friends because they are more similar to you personality wise. And that's kind of how I feel like the Colombians and the Venezuelans are. Is that like they think that they're so completely different, but in reality, they're basically the same. The only real difference is that Colombian women are, I would say, are more promiscuous, and Venezuelan women are generally speaking more like traditional. But that's mainly just that's mainly kind of like an East Germany, West Germany type of thing, right? Where like Venezuela has been like on lockdown for the past 30 years, so not as much of like American culture has permeated into Venezuela as has the rest of Latin
So
America.
do you think that's well, the thing you hear is that Colombian women are pretty, that's kind of their reputation. That's one of the things that makes the Colombia trip so odious to like girlfriends and stuff, right? Isn't that like their reputation?
Oh, 100%. I actually, I have a quick little funny story about that where I was supposed to. So there's this restaurant in Medellin called El Cielo. It's like the Michelin Guide isn't in Colombia, but they have two versions in America that are both Michelin star restaurants, and it's like the nicest restaurant in Medellin. And I was supposed to go with this girl, and then her and I got into an argument literally the night before. So I started looking for other girls to go with. I texted this one girl who I'd matched with like a week before, and we ended up going. We go back to my place afterwards, and she starts, playing with it with her hand. I was trying to get, to like close the deal, to go all the way. And she was like, yeah, actually, I have a boyfriend. And so our rule is that I can cheat on him, but only to a certain level. I can only cheat on him to third base, but I can't go all the way. And I'm like, that's like a really weird rule. Like, and she's like, yeah, the boyfriend, is fine with me doing it because he's like, guys will, buy me nice dinners that he can't afford, and then I'll just do a little bit of stuff. And all that to say, the culture there is a lot more open and when it comes to sex versus a lot of other places, especially Venezuela.
See, that shit would never happen in Mexico. That would never happen in Mexico.
Happens all the time in Colombia, though. I mean, literally.
I bet.
I
bet.
I was joking with the one girl I was talking to. I was like, "Don't you have a boyfriend?" And she's like, "Yeah, but it doesn't matter." like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? Or like the minute somebody finds out I'm taking somebody seriously. Like, my neighbor is absolutely one of the hottest chicks I've ever seen. Well, she's downstairs one floor, and she's one of the hottest chicks I've ever seen in my entire life. She came over the other day and was like, "Oh, well, you can just break up with your girlfriend and come date me." I'm like, or we could just sleep together. Like, I'm totally fine with that, too.
She said that? She said that word for word?
Word for word. She's like, break up with your girlfriend, just come date me. And I'm like, okay, like, cool.
Damn.
Like,
they really be like that, huh?
Oh yeah, the minute they find out you have a relationship, they want you like instantly. Like, it's just ridiculous. Same with this girl Victoria that I used to sleep with, who was a pay for play, but she had stopped charging me as much, and like she would just come over and hang out and do stuff. Now, like, she came over to bring me a delivery of special party favors, we'll call them. And she's like,
wow.
"Oh, why don't you get rid of your girlfriend and take me out for Valentine's Day? We'll hang out and I'll date you." I'm like, you didn't want to date before. You wanted to charge me. Now you want to give it to me for free and you want to date. Like, it's like, no, that's not the way it works. Like, they just like to switch up on you. It's crazy.
Oh, do
Gotta love them.
you want to hear a
That
great
is
thing?
amazing.
So, do you want to hear a great thing that happened to me today? So I told Brandon this. My wife's family is staying with me for like 2 months. It's a whole story. But basically, we all moved to Argentina together, and they're looking for a place and stuff. But one of the best things, I don't know how it is with other Latinas because I've never been like this serious with them. But like my wife's mom will always take my side in an argument, like 100% of the time. Always taking my side in the argument, which is great. So today, my wife is like pestering me about like what we're gonna do for Valentine's Day, and I just spent like thousands of dollars on this move, on airplane tickets, on the apartment. I had to put 4 months of rent down. I had to buy all the furniture. And I was like, you know what? I responded to her. I was like, do you know what your Valentine's Day present is? This. All of this is your Valentine's Day present. And she got mad at me, but then her mom like had my back. And I was like, great. Thanks to my wife's mom, I do not have to buy her a Valentine's Day present now. This is amazing.
That's great.
So if you guys, so someone just said I should sell a course. Course 1, if you're dating a Latina, is make sure that her mom loves you. That makes life a whole lot easier.
Make sure she got a mom.
Yeah, but let's face it though, it's not hard to make a Latina mom love you more than their daughter, because if you are a gringo who is supportive and nice and does things like buy flowers or just show up and do the bare minimum. Like Latinas don't even know what to do when they're used to dealing with Colombian or Venezuelan men. I don't know about Venezuelan men, but Colombian men specifically, they treat their women like complete ass. And they just cheat on them, they beat them, they're mean to them, they don't go out to dinners, they want everything from them. If you give just even the slightest bit of being nice to them, their moms like fall in love with you more than they do. It's insane.
Well, one of the reasons for that as well, and I don't want to like tell any specifics, but like you also find yourself in a situation because like all Latinas have like 50 siblings, right? So they're like your girlfriend or wife is comparing you to the stare that she has in her head. Her mom is comparing you to the boyfriends and husbands of all of her daughters and the way that all of her sons treat their significant others, right? And I promise you, if you're an American man, you may not be number 1, but you're going to be like 1 or 2, or at least the top 3. Like you have to really fuck up to not be in the top 3. So yeah, it's very easy. If you have a Hispanic last name, does that help? No, I mean, I don't know.
If you speak Spanish, that helps more.
Yeah.
But hey, Paul, I gotta get going. I got a flight to catch tonight. I'm heading to Medellin for the club to check it out.
All right, dude. Peace out.
All right, man. Have a
good
good
to
night,
meet you. Take care.
Good to meet you too.
All right. Yeah, Paulie, I'm gonna head out. I got some social things tonight. Good to see you. Glad to see your success.
Yeah, dude. And let's
God bless and Godspeed.
Let's do a collab sometime. You know, and then not just live. Let's do some collab content about testosterone levels and stuff. I'm sure my followers would love that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right, dude.
All right, you take care.
All
right, see you, boys.
Peace. How's it going, bro?
Bro, you're finally settled.
Yeah, dude. It's been a long time because we couldn't get internet to work. Which
I saw your video. I was gonna ask you if everything got sorted out, but it looks like you're good.
It got sorted out. Wait, what?
What?
So it says your live content.
Wait. Let me do this. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here I'm gonna kick you out and then I'm gonna put you back in. Okay.
All right, bro. Give me the boot.
Here I'll put you back in like a minute or so, just so you know TikTok doesn't think I'm like playing their system because they'll stop they'll stop recommending the live if they have that. So I don't want to like stop that. But here, I'll give it like a minute or two. Anyway, any questions? Any questions? Wait a second. I'm gonna ask my wife for a Red Bull. Puedes preguntar. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions? Any comments? Any opinions? I guess I should look at these questions. I haven't seen. Yeah, Venezuelans are not good at cooking. I don't know. Venezuelan women, all Latinas can get really mad. Okay. I'm in Bogota, not the spot for a bunch of women, but you can find a good one here. Yeah, that's the consensus on Bogota. Reasonable monthly salary is like $3K a month. You can live off of $3K a month and be perfectly good. $3K a month is fine in Cartagena. Okay, I think you're good now. Yeah, just turn the camera off, I guess.
It should be off now.
Okay, awesome. What's up, man?
Bro, freaking Friday the 13th has revealed itself to me, man.
Yeah, what happened?
I got up this morning and sent the wrong message to the wrong people.
Okay.
And completely busted myself.
Okay, what message did you send?
So, first of all, it's great to talk to you, brother. I am glad to hear that you're settled. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I had told this chick that I was going to send her some. And by the way, hilarious that previous conversation about how some cultures are not used to, the sort of the romantic side, either of Valentine's Day or just in general, right?
Yeah, no, guys in Latin America do not treat their women very well. I guess is kind of the best euphemism for what the phenomenon. But yeah, they're not the best. So as an American guy, it's fairly easy.
It's fair. Yes, I would absolutely agree. In fact, in most cultures where there is this pseudo male dominance, and you go in as fresh faced, and you find yourself being able to connect with just about anybody you want, that's the first thing you hear if you're traveling anywhere, which is, wow, you really are giving me attention. You remember what I tell you and ask me about it. It's like, it's crazy. It's just like, but that's the normal stuff.
I need to get a sponsorship from Monster. I'm literally just drinking their shit on every live. I don't get paid a dime for it.
Bro, become a UGC, man. You probably already are.
Yeah, I've tried. My people on TikTok don't buy anything. I found that. Like my followers are so cheap, it sucks. Don't tell any of my advertisers that right now, because I do have some advertisers. But man, these people do not like spending money.
I click on everything that you have, and I always make sure I do that. And as far as drinking Monsters, I probably had like 4 this week. So thank you, Paul, for recommending Monsters.
Do you hear that, Monster? See all the money you guys be making? No, dude, I like it's been I've been because I've been trying to I was trying to make money off of this channel for such a long time, and like I had all these ideas on how to do it, of all these different things that I could sell and do, and like every single one like fell on his face. But by the way, speaking of which, nice little plug. This Cartagena group trip, people have been signing up for that. We have 14 people coming. We have 2 spots left in March, and then we have 15 spots in November. By the way, John, do you want to go to the group trip?
You know what? In fact, I was going to talk to you offline about it, but I'm happy to talk about it now. I do want to say one thing, and this is like real talk. So you're a well-traveled guy. I'm a well-traveled guy. If you're someone that wants to go do something exciting, but what's holding you back is how to plan it and how to put it together, talk to a guy like Paul. And maybe this is my plug, but I'm going to share this with you. Looking at the details, how organized it is. I mean, bro, you guys have freaking thought of everything. So the answer is yes. March isn't going to work for me, but the end of the year is definitely something that I've already penciled in.
Awesome. Yeah, we have one for Colombian Independence Day. We're going to be partying on Brandon's yacht here in the Bay for Colombian Independence. I'll send you the information on that. Evan asked what days in March. March 16th to 22nd are the dates. So it's like in a month. But we still have...
I've been to Colombia twice, but I've been to Medellin, which I was actually there 3 years ago this month. February was fantastic, and I've also been to Bogota, but I've never been off the coast in Colombia.
Come to Cartagena. Come in March.
Yeah, again, the March thing isn't going to work for me, but yeah, I've like I said, I've only done those 2 cities.
Yeah. Ara joined. What's up, Ara?
What's up, man? Hey, I've been enjoying your videos. They make me want to leave where I live. Pretty much.
Where do you live?
I live in Toronto.
Oh, of course you want to leave Toronto.
Of course, bro. That's you're not gonna see the sun until June.
Thank you. That's very uplifting.
But I will say this: if you go to anytime you're a brand new person to Toronto, the first thing they tell you is our skyline looks like New York City if you're out in the water.
It's true, yeah.
So we're
cool, but in the last few years, it's become a little bit of a nightmare.
Well, it's turned into Mumbai, hasn't it?
That's what it is. I didn't want to say it, but you said it for me.
One out of every 4 people that lives in Canada lives in the Greater Toronto area,
and they're all Indian. I mean, here's the thing, right?
No, man, it's not that bad. Pre 2015, the Indian dudes that lived here were so cool. Like I loved them. Go for Indian food. They were awesome. They're like, because you got introduced to their culture while they were thriving in the Canadian culture. But now it's kind of like they come here and they're young and they don't know, and they're just used to a certain standard of living, and they don't integrate. They're kind of implementing, and it becomes a little bit. It's not their fault by any means, but like it certainly has turned the landscape a little bit more bleak. And it used to be a very community-oriented place. People were very friendly, and people are a little bit standoffish now. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the issues with people always talk about letting in the good immigrants. I guess we're having an immigration conversation. People always talk about letting in the good immigrants, and the problem is that the good immigrants, so many times their number one priority is to let in the bad immigrants. So my parents were immigrants. My parents came to America from Poland, right? And my dad used to tell me, when we spoke Polish at home, he was like, we left Poland so we wouldn't speak Polish. Speak English. You're in America. I didn't almost die coming here for you to speak Polish. And but I have family members who literally would speak constantly speak Polish and were acting like they were still in Poland. And obviously the question of like, if you like Poland so much, why don't you live there? Like, made a lot more sense when there was communism. But a lot of you, as you say, a lot of people just don't want to integrate. Which, for me, as somebody who my entire life was about integrating into American culture, just fundamentally do not understand. But enough about how shitty Canada is. Where's the first place that you want to go?
Me, I the last place left on my list is Mexico. I've been to Brazil, which was a wild story. I went to Jamaica. I've been to Dominican, Cuba, Costa Rica, but Argentina. Like, I have family, and I have my cousins are half Argentinian, half Armenian. I'm Armenian.
Okay.
And they are the coolest. That's like the coolest family, man. Like the dad, he died recently, but he was like a master flamenco guitarist. His daughters were flamenco dancers, and they were like models.
Yeah.
The mom ran her own extras. What do you call it? Like a agency. So like for the movie industry.
Yeah.
So, and you know what I mean? Like when they were like Antonio Banderas spent a week at their house and stuff like that. They were so badass. So I've always had a soft spot for Argentina.
Yeah, dude. I actually really want to go to Armenia. I was supposed to go to Armenia in July, but it's a long story why I wasn't able to go there. But yeah,
I've been there. I've been to Yerevan. It's freaking amazing, and it has all this old. It has all this old Soviet stuff. Well, all those Eastern European countries, former Soviet republics, have all this stuff. But it's an awesome country. It's as cool as Georgia. Georgia's super cool. Azerbaijan, not so much.
Not so much. No, Armenia is very welcoming. They will welcome you with open arms, and you won't believe it. It's kind of like, you remember that movie In Bruges?
Yeah.
How everybody's talking about
it. Yeah.
It's like that. You go there and you're like, why is nobody talking about this? It's beautiful. Like the city center, it's all like Roman architecture, it's columns and stuff, and it's all at night. It's lit up yellow. It's just like golden, and they have like in front of the library, or not the library, the art museum. They have a fountain show, and they light up all the fountains with colors, and they play the most romantic music: Louis Armstrong, Frank Sinatra, Charles Aznavour, and it's just the most romantic place. If anybody wants the best romantic underground, like low-key location, come to Yerevan. You'll never forget it. Like, it's a very romantic city.
Very true, and super cool hookah bars everywhere.
Yeah, I haven't been there since 2018, I think. But
okay,
you know why there's hookah bars now? I'll tell you why. So when ISIS went into Syria, they weren't killing Arabs; they were killing Christians, and the Christian population in Syria were Armenians. So there was a huge influx of Syrian refugees that went all over the world. A lot of them went to Armenia. So they helped out I'm not going to lie, they really helped out the cuisine and the culture, the nightlife type thing. Like, there was a nightlife before, but the food was a little lacking. Like, there's good Armenian food, but the Arabic influence, the ones in Lebanon and Syria, that's the next level. Their food they stepped up the food game. You know what I mean? It was less Russian, more Arabic. Yeah, so you had like a lot of cool influence there. You've got the shisha bars, Arabic music.
I'm Polish, man. I grew up on Eastern European food. It sucks.
I've been to Warsaw.
Oh, nice. Poland's
best
actually
pierogies I ever had, and beer.
I mean, best pierogies you ever had. It's like saying it's my favorite time I've ever been kicked in the balls. It's like I'm happy. I'm happy that it was relatively good, but still, I'd rather have a different experience. I'll get into arguments with people about how terrible Polish food is, and it's always people who've only been to like a Polish restaurant once, and like I've had this stuff like shoved down my throat my entire life. And I'll talk about how much I hate Polish food, and they'd be like, "Yeah, but pierogies are great." And my response to that is this: is that pierogies are dumplings, are Polish dumplings, right? And what you like is the fact that it's a dumpling, not the Polish aspect of it. In fact, pierogies are the worst dumplings on earth. Right? If you compare them to other dumplings, if you compare them to Chinese dumplings, if you compare them to shimu, if you compare them to gyoza, if you compare them to ravioli, if you compare them to empanadas, have I said a single dumpling here that you guys would prefer a pierogi over? Obviously not. So it's only good because it's a dumpling, but every other part of it is terrible. Like they've made the worst dumpling. So.
Okay, so big question: fried or boiled?
You're supposed to eat it
sauteed?
boiled.
Yeah,
is kind of like the traditional way. Although I mean they do fry it also. They put some onions on top and serve it with sour cream. But again, like think about that taste profile, right? Let's compare it to ravioli, right? Ravioli, you have nice ricotta cheese. With the pasta all over it, right? And then you put it in marinara sauce, right? Versus you have a potato surrounded by pasta with an onion on top with some sour cream. That's literally like the blandest food you can possibly think of. Is a potato wrapped in pasta served with sour cream. So yeah, no, I don't like Polish food. I guess the point I'm making.
What's your all-time favorite cuisine?
My favorite is sushi by far. If I could eat one food for the rest of my life, it's sushi. That's one reason why one of the reasons why I fell in love with Thailand so hard the first time I went was because sushi was so cheap there. Sushi, it's now a lot more expensive in Thailand, but when I went, it was like you get a full sushi dinner, like eating way too much sushi for like $10. Nowadays, like $20-$30 for a full sushi dinner in like Koh Samui or Bangkok. But funnily enough, Japan has this huge reputation for being very expensive, but actually the sushi in Japan is very cheap, relatively speaking. You can get a sushi dinner in Japan for like $7, and like the best sushi of your life for $7. So,
that sounds delicious. I think sushi had a heyday. You know what I mean? There was a point where enough people didn't know it or were grossed out by it. Now it's gotten so popular that it's become mainstream. Like mid to like 2010s to 2014s, there was like a heyday where nobody, if you knew, you knew, and it was still cheap. You could just go around like getting all you can eat sushi places, and it was delicious.
So is that your problem with it now that it's too expensive?
Yes, it's way too expensive.
Yeah, no,
would you rather do sushi or Korean barbecue?
Sushi, no question. No question. And
sushi, I'll take that over that. But when you crave Korean barbecue, now there's nothing stopping you.
You are so right. You are so right.
The momentum built up. It's something you hear about, like you just said it. So now you triggered that. So now, like, there's people in the chat right now that a light just went off, and like in the next few weeks, they're gonna have to go
and have a monster while you're on your way.
We stayed in this area. So we spent a month in Korea. I really like 3.5 weeks, but we spent a month in Korea, and my my friends told me to stay in this area called Hongdae. I highly recommend people to not go to Hongdae. Hongdae sucks. And Hongdae sucks because Hongdae is basically just like it is the most westernized part of all of Korea, right? It is, people do TikToks. Every single restaurant is built to be on Instagram. Like it's not really Korea, right? But so we primarily because I just didn't have the money to get a nice place in Hongdae, we stayed in this area called Sindebang in Korea, which was like Korean. Like we did not see a single white person there the entire time. And the nice thing about that was that like we had like legitimate Korean barbecue every day for a month, which kind of makes me Korean barbecued out personally in my life. I feel like I've had enough Korean barbecue. I mean, I'll still have it from time to time, maybe, but like, if I never have it again, I don't feel like I'm missing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Negative fertility rate.
It's meat.
Yeah. But yeah, so sushi. So
you
sorry, go.
I'm just gonna say one thing. You said something there that's very important. Instagram food. Instagram has ruined food in so many ways. Like they don't concentrate on the taste or the anything. They just want to make it photographable. And it's just like they need that lure to get people in there. It's become so.
So I'll take that. I'll raise it a level, and you especially see this in Korea, in Hyundai. Like it's photographable, yes, but they also need it to be like a thing. You know what I mean? They need to be like pizza made from avocado, because that's the thing that goes viral on Instagram. And you're 100% right. It's completely ruined food. It's completely ruined the dining experience in major U.S. cities because everybody's trying to become that viral Instagram trend, and when I travel, that's why I don't go to places like Hongdae, because like you go to a restaurant, and I have a funny story about this, but I'm not going to tell it because it's not going to be that interesting. But there's places that have like noodles made from sashimi, which is like cool conceptually, but it's like, this isn't real Korean food. You know what I mean? Like this isn't, anything. So yeah, I completely agree with you that it's ruined food. But my theory on why sushi is expensive in the United States, you're right that there's demand for it. That's part of it. Part of the problem also is you don't have a sufficient enough supply of good sushi chefs. And that's one of the main reasons why sushi is so cheap in Japan. Is that the thing that I love about Japan the most is that the Japanese have a commitment to quality that nobody else can match on planet Earth. Nobody else on Earth, no culture on Earth has a commitment to doing things well the same way that the Japanese do. And because of that, like some of the worst sushi chefs in Japan are still some of the best sushi chefs in the world. And so you can get... like in the United States, you can get some really cheap sushi, but it's gonna be terrible and you'll probably die, right? The cheap sushi places in Japan are still incredible quality because every single person is committed to doing every single thing in their life well. You know what I mean? And so that's the beauty of sushi in Japan, and I highly recommend every single person here to go visit Japan and try some sushi.
Paul, I don't remember the last time I saw anybody who looked Asian making sushi at a sushi place here in Texas.
Oh, really?
It just don't happen. Yeah, it doesn't happen here.
Dude, I was in Austin. I was in Austin, and we were in Austin for 4 days. And on Sunday, we were trying to figure out where to go to get dinner. And this one, like, basic girl, we're all from San Francisco. This one incredibly basic girl was just like, let's get sushi. And I was just like, bitch, we're from San Francisco. San Francisco has some of the best sushi in the United States. What the fuck are you talking about? Get some sushi in Texas? Why are we going to Texas to get sushi? You should be getting burritos or barbecue. Now, I'm a person, like, for example, like I'm living in Argentina right now, right? If you're living in a country for weeks or months at a time, definitely, like, don't just eat the local food every day. But if you're in another area for 3-4 days, why are you getting fucking sushi in Texas? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
What's pelmeni?
I think.
Sorry, continue, Ara.
I was gonna say one of the best places for food, for me, Brazil. Oh my god! You go to anywhere, and the worst place, they've got something cooking. Oh my god, they know what they're doing over there with barbecue. Brazil was amazing. Like when I was in Brazil, rodizio. Oh my god.
So I love the rodizio in Brazil. My issue with Brazilian food in general, though, is that the non-Brazilian food in Brazil sucks. But the Brazilian food in Brazil is amazing. These people love steak. They have steak constantly. And it's, as somebody who loves steak too, I completely agree with them. How do you say your name? This Russian guy who just joined?
I'm not Russian. I'm Bulgarian.
Oh, sorry.
There's a difference. European.
No, I know. I just saw the Cyrillic, so I assumed it was Russian.
Yeah. No problem.
How do I say your name, dude?
Just call me Taipan.
Taipan. Nice. What's up, bro?
I think I'm following you, and I didn't see you go live, so I joined and
nice.
Your topic. Yeah.
Awesome. John, where's your next trip to, man?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I mean, if I can't go to where I want to go, I don't know if I told you this, but I didn't go to any place that's close to the U.S. when I was traveling. So obviously I came through Central America, but I didn't go to any of the islands. I didn't go to Jamaica. I didn't go to Dominican. I didn't go to Turks and Caicos. I didn't go to any of those places because I felt like it was so close to the U.S. I can go there anytime. Now I've been back 2 years and I haven't done it. So I feel like maybe I'm going to go to one of these places. I'll go see some friends in Miami and then either take a boat or a plane over and hit one of the islands.
Oh, nice. Which island are you going to first?
Yeah, I don't want to go to the places that everybody's going because, Paul, you and I are from the same school of thought. Avoid the big time, well-known areas because it's people are crap, the food is crap, everything's too expensive. So I don't know if people really talk about St. Lucia that much, but that's supposed to be a pretty amazing place.
All right, I was hoping to go to St. Lucia.
I've got an ex of mine who. Here's a funny story. So when right after I finished high school, my dad moved overseas, moved to South Africa.
Yeah.
And I ended up going to college in South Africa. And I met this woman. We started dating. She was from another country called Namibia. And anyway, we lost track over time. She's half St. Lucian, half Namibian, but she's now a Supreme Court judge for Namibia.
Okay.
Which is absolutely insane. If they knew that woman's past when she was in college. But in any case, she's always talked about St. Lucia being this incredible place. I don't know a lot about it, but every photo I've seen says it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I want to go on like a Caribbean trip eventually, but the issue for me is like the prices seem like they're like kind of out of hand a little bit. Like I think that I was looking even at like places like Jamaica or places like Dominica, not Dominican Republic, Dominica. Like Airbnb is like $400 per week or something. I remember those prices. I mean, I might be wrong. Maybe I was looking at the wrong time of year or something, but it just looked completely out of whack. I couldn't justify the trip to myself.
Bro, I'm telling you, flying back and forth to some of these islands is the same thing. There's parts of the world where, flights from country to country are super cheap, like Europe. There are the flights to those islands are ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
My thinking was that I would love to eventually, if we make enough money off of this, like get a boat or like rent a boat for a few months and just go from island to island, maybe live on the boat, that type of stuff. But otherwise, it's really hard to justify. Somebody asked me about clavicular being brutally frame mugged by the ASU leader. I think I'm like, to answer this question, change tax for a second, and we get back to the Caribbean. I think it's like really like the right wing Gen Z leaders are so pathetic, and clavicular, like literally, like you're like one of the people who these dudes look up to, literally spends all this time talking about makeup and like applying foundation and stuff. I mean, John, we're from different generations. You're Gen X, I'm millennial, but growing up, if a dude was talking about applying foundation You know, like I'm not sure I can say those words on the live, but they'll definitely get their ass
if you
handed
went
to
to
them.
high school, if you went to high school in Texas in the decade that I went, and you were some dude that was talking about putting on makeup,
yeah. So
yeah.
Don Mayero says, why not get in shape? So I do find one thing I find hilarious is that there are people who come to me who are like really to like feign this type of concern, you know, to do this type of concern trolling of like, hey man, like why don't you get in shape, bro? I mean, first of all, like literally, I made an announcement video last Tuesday about how me and my buddy are starting a nutrition program for my followers that I'm going to be using as a guinea pig to help people who are following me get in shape. So the answer to your question is I'm literally doing the thing. And if you actually like were a follower and a fan of mine and not somebody who's trying to concern troll, you would know that. But second of all, I do think that there's this whole mentality, you know, in the United States that you kind of hear from like people like, you know, red pillars and stuff of like, don't be a passport bro, instead get in shape, get money and stuff. And I think that like the dating scene in America is so fundamentally broken that like it's like there's so many reasons why that's not a good option. That like, you know, I made so many videos about it. I've talked about it so many times. I mean, if you how about this? If somebody here wants to come up with a counter argument to all of the arguments I've made about why that's a bad idea, I'll be happy to engage in it. But I'm not, you know, engaging with people who clearly have not heard any of my content about stuff that I've said. But anyway, moving on from that, talking
same here.
Same where?
In Europe. Dating is shit in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it's better in Bulgaria than it is in like France, but you know, yeah, no, it's bad all around in like the quote unquote West. Somebody asked where to find blonde in Latin America who speaks Spanish or Italian. Where to find a woman in Latin America who speaks Spanish? I don't know, dude. It's very difficult to find a woman in Latin America who speaks Spanish. You'd be really hard pressed to find it. If you want to find a blonde man, go to Argentina. Anyway, John.
I was just about to say Argentina, northern Brazil,
southern Brazil.
Sorry, southern Brazil,
Chile.
For show. Santiago, they're all over the place. But check their roots.
Yeah, I mean, like,
check the roots.
You know, South America is literally just a mirror image of North America, right? So, like, you know, the more like in the north, the more north you go, the more white it is. Well, you know, until recently with Canada, obviously, R.I.P. Canada. Now India, but you know, Argentina, you know, is the reverse in South America, right? So you go south, it becomes more white and more blonde. The funny thing about Argentinians is that like Argentinians, they technically speak Spanish, but the Spanish they speak sounds so Italian, and they have these Italian mannerisms that they do when they speak Spanish. If you guys look at, I posted a video 2 days ago, Latinas in Argentina, and there's a woman I was talking to, and like it's like if you didn't know like, you know, Spanish, you'd assume that she was speaking Italian because she spoke Spanish as if she was speaking Italian.
Paul, I thought that was a very cool video. You was that impromptu or did you set that up? Did you ask for it or did it just happen? Was it organic?
Yeah, so what happened was my wife and I have been talking about doing this for a little while, and we were at a bar. A follower of mine, we got dinner together, and you know, the follower was talking about how he thought the girls behind us were incredibly attractive. I personally didn't find them attractive, but like I'm into, you know, short and brown girls personally. But my wife is just very outgoing in that type of scenario. And she like went and like started the conversation with them. And then I had a video that I posted today that's pretty much the same thing. And we went around and we walked around, you know, what's it called, Cordoba, and interviewed a lot of girls as well. Some of them were blonde, by the way. So if people want to know about what blonde Argentinian girls are into, you can watch that video. Moonfire knows you, Ara. I don't know if you know who Moonfire is. But I muted you because of your background noise, not because I wanted you to not talk. So feel free to unmute yourself, Ara, whenever you want to talk. It's just there's a lot of background noise. Bulgaria, where are you traveling to? Are you going anywhere soon?
Nah, I'm not a traveler. I'm just a fan of football.
Me and my wife thinking. Oh yeah. You had a lot of background noise, so I
yeah. Sorry, I'm driving.
Oh no worries, dude.
I'm about to pull over anyway.
You don't have to pull over for us.
No, I'm about to pull over anyway.
Safety
you know
first.
I don't know who this moon person is.
Ara.
Yeah, who's that?
Do you remember me?
No, who are you?
Oh my God, you're gonna freak out when you find out.
Who's it? You have an Australian accent.
Yeah, I do.
Is it 11? No fucking way!
Hi.
Yo, what the fuck? What's going on? Yo.
Anyway, I miss you. I'll call you on WhatsApp later.
Yo, I miss you too. Yo, it's been forever. Let's catch up later.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, bye. You enjoy.
Anyway, I'd like to know your opinion about traveling to the Middle East. I've only been to Egypt and Morocco. Morocco was nice. Egypt was nice too, but Egypt's a little bit of a shithole, to be honest with you. I mean, I was only in Cairo, but Egypt's a little bit of a shithole. I think that Morocco is nicer than Egypt because it has that proximity to Spain, and it benefited a little bit from European colonialism, whereas Egypt didn't really benefit from European colonialism. So I think it just is a little bit more nicer and a little more put together. And also the food in Egypt is a little bit, it gets a little old after 3 or 4 days, to be honest with you. But I haven't really been. I also spent a couple days in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi's nice, but I'm just not really the Abu Dhabi type. John, you spent some time in Middle East. What were your thoughts?
So Gulf states, so UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi, they're freaking all the same. I mean, it's the major cities are these, big, beautiful buildings, oil money, try to be as modern as possible, and then 98% of the people have no money and live in, whatever. Yeah. Food is very, very, very similar. A lot of prejudice people there. I mean, if you're not original to those areas, now I want to say this with a grain of salt. Can be very friendly if you're in that relationship of, customer facing restaurant, buying something at a store, or it's a tourist area. But for the most part, not really approachable at all. And again, the amount of wealth that is concentrated in the fewest number of people is very, very, very evident in that part of the world. Once you start moving west, going through, obviously Lebanon's one of the coolest places on earth. It's too bad that it's run by those folks. Jordan is freaking awesome. Israel's freaking awesome. And then you get over to North Africa. So you got Egypt, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, and then of course my Goldilocks zone is Morocco. All of those places are fantastic.
Yeah, I feel like I say this a lot about Asia, and I think it's also true of the Middle East. We're so one of the big ways that I contrast Asia with Latin America is that Latin America is really beautiful, and Latinos have a really good aesthetic eye, but they're not very hardworking. Is kind of the problem, right? Asians are very hardworking, but they just do not have an aesthetic quality to them, and I think that Asians primarily, for an Asian, they view beautiful as expensive, right? A beautiful thing in Asia is something that costs a lot of money, right? That's why they love like Gucci and all that type of stuff. I feel like it's the same thing in the Middle East, where they don't have an aesthetic quality that's separate from being expensive. It's all just, put gold on it, put some more gold on it. You know what I mean? It's like, for example, like they buy a Ferrari, they know that it's beautiful because it's a Ferrari, but they don't understand really why it's beautiful, if that makes sense. And so because of that, you have all of these like really ostentatious showings of wealth without any sort of like real aestheticism behind it, versus like, for example, like Europe, right? Like in Europe, obviously there is a correlation between how expensive something is and how beautiful it is, right? But like there is also it's separate, if that makes sense. I feel like
oh, sorry, I'll be quiet.
No. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I said you're right about Europe.
John?
No, so when I think about going through Asia, and my story, I did it all in one trip. So, I was in Philippines, I was in Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, like Korea, all the places all at one time. So I was able to almost feel the hierarchy between the way each culture views the next culture. But the reality is they are incredibly focused on figuring out how to be individual in a place that they cannot be. In other words, there is not a lot of diversity in these places. You know what I'm saying, Paul? It just doesn't feel like there is something unique or original. It's either old and historic, or it's new money and it looks like it's anywhere in the West.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, it is kind of the issue, and I mean, it's just not something that like they care about that much as a culture. You know what I mean? So that's just how it is. But Neil, what's up? I don't think we've ever spoken before.
No, we haven't. I just watch your content. I like it.
Nice.
Same here. John, can I ask a question?
Yes.
In Asia, where are the most beautiful women? Just out of curiosity.
Mongolia.
So when you ask someone else a personal preference, at least this is my opinion. When you ask someone else their personal preference, it's always going to be a nuanced answer, right? Because in the end, my ideations of what beautiful is may be completely different from yours. What I can tell you is, when I was in Japan, I was not impressed. When I was in Cambodia or Korea, I was not impressed. Why? Because they were not the ideal ideations that I consider to be beautiful. That being said,
yeah,
Indonesia, even though more than half the women wear hijabs, Indonesia, Malaysia, unbelievably beautiful, naturally beautiful, and the best personalities. I mean, they're not jaded by the BS that you get in the West.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, and I get those are both predominantly Muslim nations.
I think Mongolian
Speaking
women.
of hijabs,
I think Mongolian women are the hottest women in Asia. Mongolians are kind of like half Asians, half Russians, and so
yeah.
I was walking around just staring at every single woman that was walking past me when I was in Mongolia. Anyway, sorry, Bulgaria.
I had
What's
the
up?
same experience in Nepal. Walking around Kathmandu, which is basically it's a gutter. It is what it is. It's just not a nice place. But oh my God, the women, unbelievable.
because they got junk in the trunk, right?
Nepalese women.
I don't know. I don't know. This is a personal thing, but when I was at like a fair, and they had people from Nepal there. They had people from Tibet there. I'm like, yo, these Asians got some ass, man. Maybe it was just based on that one person.
I would honestly say that most people who have their own, whatever individual has his own ideation of what beautiful looks like, you identify that wherever you are. Like the same version of someone can be everywhere. And you got to be careful with that, because if you're traveling and you have a quote unquote type, oh my God, you become a puppy dog.
Interesting.
You know who has some of the most beautiful women? Afghanistan. Like, you would never think of it, but like they've got the really light eyes and a dark skin.
Yes.
And aesthetically, the women there are absolutely just beautiful. Like,
so thousands of years ago, Romans and Greeks were all through that land, and lots of them stayed. So there are a lot of cultures there that have the same facial features as parts of Europe and other places.
like Alexander the Great went through there.
Yes.
And the British.
Yes.
Well, that's nice. I got to eat a little bit of dinner while I took a little bit of a break. Yeah, but no, Mongolians are the hottest Asians. That's the answer to the question.
I got to look into these Mongolians.
I've seen them. They use the Cyrillic alphabet, but not much else. You've been to Ulaanbaatar, the capital?
Yeah, Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing like a funny image of like throat singing.
Yeah, I mean they look
so
like.
I gotta be honest. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I gotta be honest. The guy from Bulgaria. When I first started traveling a couple of years ago, I was on an island called Mauritius, which is off the east coast of Africa, closer to Madagascar, Kenya, South Africa. Anyway, it's this beautiful tiny island that is a former French colony, but more than 60% of the people are from are Indian, and they were actually brought there to work. Anyway, long story short, the most beautiful Bulgarian woman that I ever met in my life is from Sofia, and she and I had booked this day trip. I don't know, whatever, on a boat to a private island or whatever. Anyway, she was the most beautiful woman that I'd ever seen, and I knew when I was going to go to Bulgaria, I was like, oh my God, I am going to see more incredible women. No, she was it. She was the peak of beautiful Bulgarian women.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Woman. But
oh no! Trust me, they were beautiful women. I just felt like I was going to see someone more beautiful. And then anyway, I got to know her. We ended up being friends. I ended up meeting her later on because she lived in Ireland. She moved out of Bulgaria, and she said, "Yeah, a lot of us are just getting out of there because there's no work."
Yeah,
that's probably why you liked her so much. I bet you thought she was beautiful because you were like incorporating that you were friends with her. Like, I find when you get along with somebody versus when they're awful people to you, has a big, like, really affects how you think they look. Like if you think back, like sometimes you think somebody's beautiful and you talk to them, and all of a sudden you remember them as ugly, because like that has a big effect on how you remember them. You know what I mean? Like the emotions come into play.
Planet X is gonna think that I'm really ugly right now because I'm about to be mean to him. You're a Pakistani man who wants to go meet Latina women in Brazil. Please stay in Pakistan.
Yeah, do not. That's going to end ugly. That is going to end ugly.
Please stay in Pakistan. Like, we see what you guys did to England. What was it now? 300,000 English girls that were groomed. Don't do that to Latin America, man. Just stay in Pakistan. Anyway, sorry, continue. I'm from Asia. Let me tell you, Mongolia and Central Asia isn't talked about much. Dude, it's not talked about at all, man. I mean, I haven't been to Kazakhstan, but I think Kazakh women...
is nice.
I'm pretty sure Kazakh women are really hot. I'm pretty sure Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, because like those girls have like a mix of Asian and European. It's just a question of like how much that mix is.
Yeah.
Can I find a good trad wife in Argentina? Yeah, dude. With minimal Spanish, what you guys should do if you want to date in Latin America is make sure you have a foundational amount of Spanish so that you can like actually like have the bare bones of a conversation. And then once you do that, go down here and then learn Spanish through immersion. You know what I mean? You still need to learn the building blocks though. You need to learn the building blocks before you come here. Like if you don't know what a mujer is, it's going to be really tough for you, right? But once you have those building blocks, don't perfect Spanish before you come here. Come here and learn Spanish because it is so easy to learn Spanish when you're dating Latinas. Like I remember like my first month in Medellin, I remember this distinctly because I spent a month in Medellin and then I didn't speak Spanish for another like month and a half. And then I was with a friend of mine in Peru and like he visited after my first week there. And like my Spanish was light years ahead of his because I just spent a month in Medellin talking to Colombianas every single day. You know what I mean? And you learn a lot of stuff that you don't really like emphasize in textbooks, like the difference between like a key and a ka and IE, right? Like you don't really like learn that a lot of times, right? So immersion is definitely the way to go. Paulie knows where the gems are. I try to. Anyway, there's a little bit of a diversion, but what were we talking about before I insulted the Pakistani man? Oh yeah, you said that the women in Bulgaria were really nice to you, right? John?
Oh, yeah. So this is just my own experience. All Eastern European women, if they're under 35, especially if they're under 25, they all look like tall supermodels. And then when they're 60 and older, they look like babushkas. It's like they're 4'9" and thick ankles. I'm not trying to be mean, not trying to stereotype, but I swear to God, you put them in a lineup, you cannot pick one from the other.
Yeah, I was talking to my wife about this. I was talking to like a fan of mine. We went to dinner together the other day. And I said like the reason like all these people fetishize Eastern European women, but I think the reason why I don't is because growing up Polish, I've seen like the end state of these women. Yeah, I mean, like, so when I see these like young supermodels, all I can see are the 60-year-old women. But then on top of that, like, so the main difference between like Latinas and Eastern European women is that Latinas really like are fiery and will attack you, might even kill you, but like they are overall in a relationship, they're very supportive of you. Like Eastern European women will support you on their face, but will quietly be like sticking daggers in you, and it'll be quietly bleeding you out in order to completely destroy you mentally and make sure that by the age of 65, you're a complete shell of yourself as a man. And so, like, people complain a lot about how fiery Latinas are. And I'm like, it's the difference between like a person who will punch you in the face when they're mad at you, but like, will not when they're not, versus somebody who's constantly like scheming and doing all that sort of. I prefer the person who punches me in the face than that other person. You know what I mean? And that's what Latinos are. Latinos will punch you in the face, but they're not trying to like break your spirit or anything. Eastern European women get off on that.
Paul, have you spent any time in any of the countries that are the former Yugoslavia, like Serbia or Kosovo or North Macedonia?
I was in Croatia and I was in Montenegro.
Croatia, okay. Montenegro, yeah.
Croatia, interesting.
Yeah.
Montenegro, we went to the city called Kotor. Kotor is like one of the it's very, very touristy. It is a tourist trap, but it is also one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. I will say that. I highly recommend people. Like, there are only a few tourist traps I will recommend. Kotor is one of them. Kotor, Paris. I've had a really good experience in Paris. despite popular opinion to Paris. I've got a really good experience of it, and not a lot of other tourist traps I think are good to go to.
What about Serbia?
Serbia's not a tourist trap though.
It's
No, I mean in terms of women.
oh,
I had the
listen.
biggest crush on this girl in
Yeah.
high school. Oh my god, she
So
was
good.
drop dead gorgeous. I'll never forget that. So I'm always gonna have a soft spot for Serbia.
But here's the thing: if they love you and you break their heart, they will make it their mission in life to destroy you.
Yeah.
It's no good.
I mean, there is something about the idea of a real relationship with women from that part of the world where, you know, if they can't have you, no one can.
The good news though is that yes, if you break their heart, they're going to try to destroy you, but they will also try to destroy you if you don't break their heart. Like if you're in a relationship with them, they'll try to destroy you too. So really, whatever the choice is,
Bro, yeah.
they're going to destroy you.
Yes. Yeah.
3 guys. So what's the best city to be based in Latam while traveling across Latin America for 3 months? 3 guys, not a single word of Spanish. Really, not a single word of Spanish. You don't know the word "sí" or like burrito. I don't know, dude. Just
¿Qué pasa?
Words to live by. Sí, burrito.
¿Cómo se llama? Go ahead.
One of the big problems with traveling in Latin America is that most of the cities that I would recommend staying in long term, and this is the whole problem. Like a lot of people like the idea, like really get off on the idea of like staying in a city and then traveling to a bunch of other cities in the area, is that all the cities that you want to be based in Latin America, the flights from those cities are incredibly expensive to other places, with very few exceptions. So, for example, Asuncion is one of my favorite cities to live in Latin America. Asuncion, everywhere you want to fly to in South America, except for Sao Paulo, is pretty expensive, right? Santa Cruz, Lima. There are a few places that you can go to from Lima that are cheap, but overall, Lima is pretty expensive because it's kind of like really out of the way from everything, right? And so the cities that have very cheap flights, the main cities with cheap flights all over Latin America are Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, Medellin has cheap flights, right? But these cities are also the most expensive, less enjoyable cities to live in long term, right? So you kind of have that balancing act. So overall, like the cities that I think thread the needle the best are probably Bogota in Colombia and Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, because in Rio de Janeiro you can travel all around Brazil fairly cheaply, because the way flights happen in Brazil is that pretty much every single flight between 2 Brazilian cities will go through either Sao Paulo or will go through Rio de Janeiro, right? So, for example, me and my wife, we flew from Foz do Iguaçu to Brasilia, which is like here. So Foz do Iguaçu to Brasilia is kind of like, New York to Boston, basically, right? And we had to go through Sao Paulo, which is basically if you buy a ticket, let's say from Cincinnati to Boston, and it goes Cincinnati, Atlanta, Boston. You're like, why am I going all out of the way? And the reason is because those are the 2 hubs, right? The problem for you is that Bogota can be a little bit tough if you don't speak Spanish. So I would say Rio de Janeiro or Lima are probably the 2 cities that you want to stay in. For all of its reputation, Rio de Janeiro is kind of easy to navigate as a first-time traveler. You just need to not get robbed and not get killed, which are, kind of easy things. If you're not an idiot. The problem with Bogota is that you'll get scammed in Bogota even if you're not an idiot. You know what I mean? Like I was talking to somebody the other day. He was a consulting client of mine. By the way, if anybody wants me to help them plan a trip or need some more consulting, I charge a lot of money. I charge $250 an hour, but that's because I don't really feel like spending my life talking to people about shit, about their feelings. So like, if you want to talk to me, it's $250 an hour. But anyway, I was helping him out, and he went to Bogota, and he got scammed like 7 times in his first hour. And the reason why I recommended Bogota was because he had told me he had been all around South America. And then afterwards, he was like, yeah, I mean, I've been to like Jaco and like, you know, San Jose. And I was like, oh, okay, well, you should have told me that, because I would not have sent you to Bogota if you had told me that, right? So, yeah, you know, like cab drivers will scam you a lot. You'll like what are the big pieces of advice I have to give? I made a video about this in Latin America. Is that like, these people are not your friends. A lot of people think that these people are your friends. They're not your friends, right? If somebody comes up to you and puts their hand on your shoulder and says, you know, hey, my friend, let me help you out. Let me find you a good place. They're not doing it to help you. They're doing it because they typically get some sort of kickback from the establishment that they refer you to, right? And like, they are working to try to raise your bill as much as possible to try to fuck you, right? So you need to be very aware of that. Now, in the Middle East, they say my friend a lot. And in the Middle East, they don't do that as aggressively. There are certain areas where they will fuck you. Like, if you go to the Medina, for instance, they'll fuck you in the Medina a little bit. But, like, in Marrakesh or in Egypt, like, if somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, my friend, let me help you out, most of the time they're actually going to help you out. Not in Colombia. In Colombia, they're going to, like, skin you alive. So, all that to say, Lima, Peru, or Rio de Janeiro is where you want to go, you know. Anyway, is 21 too young to date in Latam? There's actually a law in Latin America that people are not allowed to have sex before the age of 37. So if you're watching this live and you're over the age of 37, do not go to Latin America, because you are too young to date in Latin America, legally speaking. Anyway, these are my answers to some of the questions. Any, John, what's up? Are you gone? Bulgaria, something
No,
bad?
bro, I'm here. No, bro, I'm here. I'm just listening. I'm just listening to you. I wanted to speak a little bit about the whole thing about language, and travel, because I can understand, and Paul, you're a really good example of this, but I can understand that there are people who really feel passionately and compelled and have to be able to learn the language of the place, of the people that they're going to talk to all the time. I can tell you from the experience of someone who went to a lot of places and did not know any language at all of wherever I was, because I don't know Spanish. I can tell you that if you have a smartphone and I've done this 1,000 times, if you've got a smartphone and an internet connection and you meet someone, Google Live Translate into any of the languages that Google offers is an instant icebreaker. You simply walk up and you can speak into it and you can have full-on conversations. I cannot tell you how many times I've had full-on long conversations with people just using that. But to Paul's point about getting to know a little bit of the local language, here's why that's important. Not that you necessarily need to understand who you're in front of, but you kind of need to know the people around you, situational awareness, because you just don't know what's going on. And if you know enough words, if someone's plotting something or they're trying to scam you or whatever, that's when you want to know that. So that's why I would recommend knowing at least a little bit of another language, of a place you're going to visit for an extended period of time. If you're only going for a few days, you should be situationally aware anyway. Assume you're in whatever the bad part of town of wherever you're from, and be that aware. Yeah, that's how I would feel. I never needed to learn another language. The translator goes into every freaking major language in the world, and trust me, if the connection is real between you and that other person, it's almost freaking cool, because it brings you both literally together. Like, I use this to my advantage, to have someone right next to me, looking at their eyes. We're both looking at each other, but we're talking into my phone. Bro, there's that shit works.
Yeah, I mean, so that is a general principle I say is that if you're looking to travel to a lot of places for a little period of time, you don't need to know that much. You don't need to know any of these languages. In fact, like my first trip around the world, like I spent a month in a lot of places. I didn't even speak Spanish that well. But if you are looking to move somewhere long term, you do need to learn the language because you can't really you can get to know someone over the course of a few days speaking over a translator, right? But like it's different, knowing someone over the course of like a year. You know what I mean? Like you don't have an actual long term relationship with somebody. You kind of need to be able to speak the same language. But to John's point, speaking over a translator is actually like a really good it really works. Girls find it really cute. And then on top of that, you can get away with saying shit via translator that you just can't say, in real life. You know what I mean? Like you can play it up to be a little cutesy and a little more forward in a way that you just wouldn't be able to if you weren't using a translator.
1000% true. That is so true.
What's up, Paulie?
We had 2 people join, Taylor and White Smile. What's up, guys?
Doing good. How are you?
Can't complain. What do you have for us?
Yeah, I actually have a question for you.
Awesome.
So I served the Mormon mission in Brazil a while back and fell in love with Brazil. Got in a relationship with a lady that ended up being not a great person.
Okay.
But
it could be anybody in Brazil. Sorry.
Right.
A joke. Continue.
Yeah, it's yeah. Anyways, I actually had a question regarding kind of the opposite of what you did. So you're American, right?
Yep. How can you tell? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Right? No, I'm just making sure. I'm American too, but I'm a Hispanic man, Latino American.
Okay.
And I'm looking for pointers on maybe dating white women from another country, possibly. What countries do you recommend?
I mean, if you're trying to date like a white girl in another country, I would recommend Eastern Europe. And the reason why, people talk a lot, and I talk a lot about how Argentinian women, are white. One of the things I'm sure I'm sure you're aware of this, right? Is that there's a racial hierarchy in Latin America. Not saying it's correct, but that's just how it is. And they're not really into Hispanic guys. While women in Eastern Europe really love American Hispanic guys and American black guys.
Really?
And the reason is, they're fucking, incredibly woke leftist women who view sucking a Hispanic's ding dong as like a way of fighting against the patriarchy and like their history of colonialism. And I mean, agree with it or not agree with it, use it to your advantage. You know what I mean? Why not? Right. They definitely like that, especially Eastern European women really like Latin American men. Obviously you're an American, but you can just kind of play that aspect of it. I think I think there's gonna be a huge mix between Eastern Europe and Latin America soon. I mean, I married a Latina. I think Eastern Europeans just kind of view our culture as kind of broken in some fundamental ways. And I think Latinos kind of view their culture as a little bit broken in some fundamental ways. And so I think that they're kind of good fits for each other, if that makes sense. The way I explain it with my wife is that my wife is very, very happy, very family oriented, very passionate. I'm, much more demure, but, I'm able to pay bills and stuff, which, as, again, not to talk about stereotypes, but a lot of Latin men are not really able to do that. Right. So, and they're supposed to just less serious, cheat on you and that type of stuff. Right. So I think that, I think Eastern Europe is a place for you, or go to obviously not Spain or Italy, maybe France or somewhere like Scandinavia could be good for you.
Okay. Yeah, I have another question, but before I ask that, I was just gonna say that you perfectly pointed out the racism in like Latin America. I didn't realize how much of a thing that was until I started dating that Brazilian lady, because I didn't know this until years later, but she was actually an escort.
Was she white Brazilian? Pardo?
She was like white, but definitely had some indigenous kind of features.
Where was she from?
But she's from Rio.
But like born and raised, or
no? She was born in Pernambuco, like Recife area.
Yeah. Okay.
And then she moved to Rio to kind of make a life for herself.
Yeah.
And I guess she had slept with this American guy before me, like a year ago, before
Obviously.
I dated her.
Yeah.
And she just like fell in love with like the whole blonde hair, blue eye look. And then, you know, I don't give off those features, so she used that against me, and it made me feel so insecure.
Yeah.
And not only with her, but like with other like Mormon women or even regular Brazilians, they use that racial hierarchy against like even their own Brazilian men.
Yeah.
And it fucks me up, you know, because that's pretty sad to just, you know, see that, but whatever.
Yeah, there's a famous samba song that came out a while ago called Patrocina de Olhos Azul, which basically means like rich girl with blue eyes. And it's a story about a guy from the favela who falls in love with like a rich white girl from Zona Sul. For people who don't know, Zona Sul is like Copa, Ipanema, those types of places. And you know how a family discriminated against them. So something that very much exists in Brazil still. One thing with Brazilian women, I always ask where they're from, because you can clock a Brazilian woman, you know, 95% of her personality based on where she is from and where she lives currently. You know what I mean?
Like in the north, they're friendlier. In the south, they're more stuck up.
Yeah, but I mean, Recife has its own kind of like weird like racial dynamics that
Really?
occur there. Yeah, mainly because like there is a large white population in Recife, but they also have a huge Pardo population that is like really. I don't know why. I haven't looked into it specifically with Recife, but like in Recife, they're very violent and like very like a lot of criminals. Recife is one of the most dangerous cities in Brazil, which is like, you know, like being one of the fattest cities in America. It's a very difficult honor to get. And so, or one of the Brazil is actually really overweight too. So yeah, there's some weird dynamics that go on there. Latin America, it's funny. Like Latin America is one of the most racist places on earth, I'd say.
That's just so funny to me because, like, you know, they come. A lot of Latin Americans come, you know, from their countries up here to America, and they complain about those like racism stereotypes and all that, but they have it in their own country.
Yeah,
you know?
So the reason why they do that, I'd say it's a little bit more complicated than that. Typically, it's second generation Latinos that do that, right? And the reason why the reason why they do that is because like America just like has this huge reward for being able to be a victim in America, right? And so they clock that a lot clearer than a lot of other Americans clock that, because if you think about it, right, like for example, like Black Americans, right? You have a lot of Black Americans that really get off on being a victim, but then you also have a lot of Black Americans that are just kind of sick of it, right, and just think it's kind of stupid.
Sure.
And the reason for that is because there's a whole history, you know, of it, right? And like their family is in the history, and like they've had these conversations their whole life, right? And so they really feel that very astutely. With the Latinos who come into America, the second generation, they don't have that because they're so new entrants into the society. But the kids, like really, you know, so they don't have the pressure against it, but the kids have this pressure of like, if you are able to position yourself as a victim, you can get this social benefit.
Go somewhere. Right.
So second generation Latinos are in America are some of the most insufferable people on planet Earth, I would say. First generation Latinos are hilarious. They're some of the funniest people you'll get. And I actually like, there's a lot of negative sides to the racism, but there's also some funny and some cool sides to it. I'm not going to lie about that. Latinos are able to be brutally honest about things in a way that most other cultures on planet Earth aren't able to. But I think that another
Can I say something really quick?
Can I just say one point because I'm going to forget it?
Yeah, for sure.
That I think also a lot of the reason why we have that kind of dissonance in America towards Latin American populations is because the white liberal women who argue on behalf of Latinos in America are actually very racist themselves in ways that they don't want to admit, right? And so they view Latin America as this monoculture, right? They're like, all of you are the same. Not. So of course you're not racist. You're these it's the term virtuous savage, right? I'm not saying Latinos are savages, obviously, right? But I'm saying like that's the term that people use, right? And so because of that, Americans go to Latin America and are shocked that like how much racism exists between them. But the reason why Americans are shocked by that is because the American perception of Latin America in and of itself is racist. We view them as this huge monoculture, but it's a continent and a half. You know what I mean? Like there are different types of people here, and Argentinians will remind you of that, as will Southern Brazilians. Southern Brazilians are some of the most on edge and prickly people when it comes to conversations about race. But anyway, sorry, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I totally agree with a lot of what you just said there. But I also wanted to point out something that I've seen. I think the second-gen Latinos can be very, very liberal, but I also think it also breeds the most racist of them all because they've become insecure with not fitting in, and they have to like put on this costume of like, oh, I'm super American, so I have to hate on my ancestors or my lineage,
Yeah, you definitely have another aspect of it. I mean, it's the old thing about how the Irish and the Italians when they first came to Americans were the most racist people against Black people.
Right.
Exactly. So you have that other element of like a lot of second generation Latinos really overcorrecting. I mean, the two ICE agents that murdered that killed that protester. They're both Latino. I do find it funny that like. Kyle Kuczynski and Hassan Piker both use the fact that he was gay as like a slur against him, which you're like, wait, you guys are on the left. I thought being homosexual Mexican was a good thing. Why are you guys using this as a negative? Anyway, I'll let Rodaline say something. What's up, Rodaline? Are you gonna yell at me about something? I feel like I'm about to be yelled at. I have this feeling. These lives sometimes degenerate into me getting yelled at. So, anyway, Rodaline, I just unmuted you. Feel free to talk. I'll give you a couple seconds, then we're going to go back to talk about Latinos. Nope. Okay.
I don't think they're there.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, sorry.
I was going to ask one more question, if that's okay.
Go ahead, bro.
So, I do plan on living here in the States for another at least 6 to 7 years. But I am looking to maybe live somewhere else outside of the country. Do you live a nomad lifestyle, or what do you do to make your income?
Yeah, so I used to be a remote sales rep. Now I quit my job a month and a half ago, and I do this full time now. So
content creation.
Yeah. It's funny. Literally, the second that I quit, my views like plummeted. This is like my big problem right now is that I'm trying to get my views and my videos up, but we'll get there. But anyway, yeah. So why 7 years?
Well, I'm looking to buy a house in the next year or so. I'm getting out of some debt right now, and then. After that, I plan on.
How old are you?
College. I'm 25 right now.
Okay.
I plan on starting college shortly after that, maybe like end of next year or something like that.
Okay.
And I do want to build like I have a high income job right now.
What do you do?
I'm a caregiver.
Okay.
And the thing with it is I don't make a lot per hour, but I get a ton of hours per week.
Okay.
For my job. And that factoring the overtime, it stacks up. And so I'm taking advantage of this job to be able to set myself up for success to when, you know, I eventually retire or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking with the whole remote stuff, because I eventually do want to get into that. Maybe be like a data analyst or financial, something related in the financial field.
Yeah, I mean, you do know what the best day is to start something, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like, I don't really like John Lennon a lot, but he has this one quote that I like, which is "Life is what happens when you're busy making plans."
Yeah.
If you're 25 right now and you want to like, go out, meet women, do all this type of stuff, adventure, have this cool life,
Yeah.
why wait 6 years for it? Why not do it today, right? And you have to make sacrifices, obviously, but you're making a sacrifice right now, right? A lot of times we have this opinion. I mean, I'm not, trying to convince you to do it. You don't have to like, board a plane right now. But a lot of times we have this conception that like choosing to not do something is not a choice, right? That choosing the status quo is not a choice, when choosing the status quo is just as much of a choice as choosing something else, right?
Right.
Or choosing not to do something. And we also have this belief that choosing the status quo is less risky than choosing something else. And I actually have to push back on that. This guy Marco wants to join. Marco, you have to wait until I'm done with this before he can talk. Oh, he doesn't want to join. Anyway, that we have this opinion that choosing the status quo is less risky than choosing something else. And I disagree with that, because like if you're in a position, right, where you are, unhappy with your status quo, for one reason or another, or you have some sort of discomfort with it, right? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you're on a live talking about moving abroad and you're entertaining the idea and you're thinking I want to do it in 6 years, then I'm guessing there is some frustration, unhappiness with the way you're currently living your life, right? And so you gotta have to ask yourself, right? Like, what's the actual riskier choice? Doing something that you don't know if it'll be good or bad, or doing something that you know is bad. You know what I mean? Like what's worse? Like, rolling a dice, and if it's 1 or 2, I kick you in the balls. 3 or 4, nothing. Or 5 or 6, you make $1 million, right? Is that riskier, or is it riskier for me to say I'm going to slap you in the balls? It's like, well, yes, a kick is worse than a slap, but you're still getting hit in the balls. But at least in this other option, you're able to maybe get $1 million, right? And at least for me personally, and John as well, and literally everybody that I know has traveled abroad, they talk about how insanely transformative and incredible the experience is, that it's very hard for me to believe that you're not going to have that same incredible experience, because even people I know who have traveled abroad and then decided that they didn't want to become digital nomads, decided they wanted to come back to the United States, even those people will say that they've had incredible transformative experiences that were 100% worthwhile, right? So that would be kind of my, answer to that. But again, I mean, I'm obviously biased. I become a digital nomad who moved abroad. By the way, someone named Sam said, "You're asking the wrong man for dating advice." First of all, Sam, can people learn how to spell? But second of all, I made a video about this. I actually think this is like very true. I mean, if people disagree with me, feel free to come up here and argue with me about this. But like, the worst people to ask for dating advice are people like Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, really attractive, wealthy men are the worst people to ask for dating advice. And the reason is because dating is so easy for them, right? If you were to ask Leonardo DiCaprio for dating advice, he would say, yeah, go up to a woman and just, stand there. And then after a couple minutes, she's going to take her top off and start sucking you off, right? Because you're Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Like every single girl on planet Earth wants to be with you. A guy like this has to work for it. I would always take advice from people who are less attractive and less successful than you when it comes to dating versus guys who are incredibly attractive. What do I think of Belgium?
You guys, Patty.
Belgium sucks. All of Western Europe is terrible, and you should avoid it. That's my opinion. Indian women pretty AF. A guy named Asib Khan said this. Okay, man, please go to Europe. Please go to India.
I saw one the other day that was actually attractive. But
So-
that was a rare occasion.
In a country of 1.4 billion people, you're gonna have some attractive people. That's just math at a certain point. Book my ticket to Cartagena. Oh, nice, dude. We got somebody that booked to Cartagena. I haven't really been promoting this as much as I should have, so I'm going to do a quick commercial break. So one of the things, and Taylor, you might even want to come to this trip. This might be a good first trip for you to go to. One of the things that happens, right, is that people will go to South America, right? They'll hear all these stories about Cartagena or Medellin or whatever. They'll go to South America and they'll be so excited. They book a week trip and they land in South America and they realize they don't really know what the fuck to do, right? And not only that, like you get, as I was talking earlier, like you get ripped off by people, right? Because you don't know the lay of the land. You might even get drugged and robbed by a woman because that happens in Latin America, and often not. Oh yeah, and then thanks, Russell. So and then more often than not, you sign up for this incredible experience and you end up not having the incredible experience you wanted to have. Sometimes you end up having a bad experience, but even if you don't have a bad experience, you end up not having as much of a great experience as you wanted to. You sign up, you buy a plane to Cartagena to have the boats and hose experience, and then you end up having a enjoyable experience, but it's not boats and hose, right? So my buddy Brandon, he was on the live earlier, but that was 2.5 hours ago. He has been living in Cartagena now for 8 months, 9 months. This guy knows Cartagena backwards and forwards. This is his yacht, by the way. And what he's going to do is, if it's your first time going to Latin America, if it's your second time, if it's your 10th time, I think it's best for newbies. But I think people who have been to Latin America a lot can also just enjoy this trip a lot, especially if you haven't been to Cartagena before. He's going to just show you around Cartagena. He's going to give you the walking tour of Cartagena. You're going to go out on his boat. You're going to have a great party on that. You're going to be staying in a mansion with 16 people, private security. You have a private room. It's like I've seen videos of this spot. It's incredible. You're going to be going out on a beer bus ride through Yosemite. You're going to be going on ATVs through from the beach to the mountains. You're going to be having the time of your life. And then also, what happens with clubbing women is that clubbing women, a lot of times they'll rip you off or they'll just rob you, right? We had a person we talked to in our Discord who went to Medellin, and he had a common con ran on him where he asked out a girl and she brought him to a bar, and it turns out that she was working for that bar. And so she put up his bill to like a few $1,000s and then got a kickback. That's a very common thing when it comes to Latin America, right? But we're going to, one, bring you to the good bars where that doesn't happen. And then two, he's also going to introduce you to all the good girls that are not going to do that to you. So basically, this is an all-included experience, everything, breakfast and lunch every single day. The only things that are not included are your flights, dinner when you guys go out to restaurants, and drinks, and also any women that you pay for. Those are obviously not included. And all of that together is $1,250 for a week's trip, March 16th to the 22nd. So if you are interested, fill out the form, link in my bio for the Cartagena group trip. We're also just started selling this trip for Independence Day, for Colombian Independence Day. It's November 9th through 15th. And it's the same trip, but it's during Colombian Independence Day. That trip is $2,000. Why is it $2,000? Well, first of all, because everything's more expensive during that time of the year, but also $1,250 is an insanely cheap price for this group trip. We are barely making any money off of this. Literally, I think my take after all of it is like a few $100s or something like that. Because we're giving you a low price because it's literally our first trip, right? All of the future trips are going to be a lot more money than that. So if you want to have a good value, good trip, go to the trip in Cartagena for $1,250. And on top of that, one policy that me and Brandon have is that we decided that we're going to be giving people who go on this trip, we're going to be giving them discounts on all future trips. I'm not sure exactly what the discount is. It might be $100, it might be $200. But if you're somebody who's thinking, hey, man, I really want to be going to Latin America more often over the course of the next few years, and this experience sounds good to me, then you're going to end up saving more money than you spent on this trip with all the discounts that are giving you. Because future trips are going to be $1,600, $1,700 per person. So, if we give you a $150 discount, then 10 trips, you basically make it all back. Taylor left. But anyway, that's the plug for the trip. I hope, go to the link in the bio and sign up. Sign me up. Well, I can't sign you up. You need to go to the link in the bio and you need to sign up yourself. I can't sign you up. Which airline?
Paul.
What's up?
Two things. Number one, fascinating conversation listening to you and Taylor. The guy's 25 and he's got a little debt. Sounds like he got his heart broke. But bro, I wish I was that cognizant and aware of who I was and what I wanted to do when I was 25.
Yeah, I was an idiot.
Like he has a, huh?
Yeah, I was an idiot when I was 25.
Yeah, no, I don't know if he's still listening. I was gonna tell him that dude's already halfway there because he's asking questions. I didn't ask a single question until I was in my 30s. Second thing, bro, I gotta bounce. But I'm gonna start joining you more often. I wanna share one thing with you, Paul. Paul, your ability to communicate universally to all different types of people, whether they're young bucks who've never been anywhere or dudes who have a bias or just whoever rando females, bro, that's the single greatest asset that you have. And the reason why I'm saying that is because you should be less concerned about what you're talking about and more about being authentically who you are. Bro, I'm telling you the truth because you and I go way back. So I just want to reinforce that.
Yeah.
Right?
I appreciate that, man. I would say my best quality is my monster dog, but if you think it's me being authentic, then that's fine.
Bro, I've never seen that. I also don't ever want to see that. But what I'm telling you, dude, your advice about, hey, you got to sometimes get started and today's the best day. You literally took your own advice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sadly though, I took it many years too late, which is one of the main reasons why I'm so passionate about people starting to travel, because as somebody who wanted to travel for a long time, that I didn't, but I think people should get started ASAP. But yeah, man, I appreciate you joining. We'd love to have you on in the future, and safe travels, man.
Yeah, bro. Well, good talking to you. I'll hit you up I'll send you a message on WhatsApp, man.
All right, dude. Talk to you later. All right. So somebody asked, I don't know if you're still here, 876. Somebody asked, even Spain, Madrid. Madrid sucks, bro. Don't go to Madrid. Madrid is like really shitty. If you're gonna go to Western Europe, like go to France. Don't go to Madrid. Madrid is just like a shittier version of France. No, it's not. Madrid sucks, and you suck for thinking that. I'm just kidding. Anyway, so Gran Tirmano, bro, like you're asking me Like fill out the link in the bio, and I'll reach out to you, bro. Oh, you want to go to Mexico? Well, the trip is in Cartagena. We can't change that for you, man. No, I'm not saying France. I'm Paris. I went to Paris and had a great time. A lot of people talk about like the migrants and stuff, but I actually didn't see that many, and they didn't bother me. All right, we have to go make a video soon. But any more questions? Anybody? Any other thoughts? Let me know. No, that's not the best thing about Paris. The food in France is undeniably like one of the best, countries for food. What will be the next trip for me? So we're coming up with a Independence Day trip, Russell. You should definitely go to that. It's still Cartagena, but like it'll be Independence Day, and then we're also going to be having a what's it called a trip to Panama coming up soon. So I like here's the thing, like White Smile asked me if I've been to Thailand. It's one of those questions, man, that like I really like I don't want to respond sarcastically to a genuine question, but like it's hard for me to not respond sarcastically. Like I literally run a travel TikTok. You know what I mean? Like obviously I've been to Thailand. That's like one of the first countries you go to. You know what I mean? Anyway, do you have any other questions? I've been doing this for 3 hours. I'm going to do a. Don't go to Cancun, bro. Cancun is just filled with like mid-tier marketing managers from the United States. Um, all right, I'm gonna head out, guys. It's been 3 hours. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, peace.